for hanging in there with us, and sorry about the tech issues. We're all good now. I hope it sticks for the rest of the day. And I'm going to start recording us in, there we go. In 3, 2, 1.
This is how the world I knew ended.
Hey everybody, welcome to Core. The reason we played the old theme music there was for a kid named Zach who requested that we play the old music because he loves it. And I said, you know what, I think we can make an exception tonight. Beau agreed, and as he's the author of the music. So there it is. Happy whatever that brings you, Zach, in your life. I think that's great, and we were happy to do it. Here we go.
When he wanted the old music, because I didn't listen to the thing you sent. I thought you meant it was like our original music.
No, it's just a clip of this thing. He wants this version.
Yeah, Yeah, song's called Singularity.
Oh, it has a name. I didn't know that.
It's just a reference name. It doesn't have any meaning or anything like that. It's just a punk rock song.
I didn't know it had a name. I love that it has a name. That's cool.
It has a name. Just when you're just making music and it's just audio. There's no singing. You just still give them names so that you know what the hell it is. Right?
Well, give yourself a band name. What's your band name? Do you have that?
No, I don't have. There's no band. It's just me, Gorath.
Yeah, but so that's like the Gorillas. There's just one guy.
It'd be Gorath on the poster, I think.
All right, Gorath.
I wouldn't go up as Beau Schwartz. Like, who's going to see? Who's going to be like, I'm going to buy tickets for Beau Schwartz? It's just even rolling off of my tongue. It makes pains in my face. Like my whole sense of aesthetic. I'm just like, nobody wants to see someone.
There is a reason Gordon Sumner changed his name to Sting. So I understand, right? You can't be your birth name, but you could be Gafforath with the 4 in there. Make that like part.
We'd definitely be spelling it that way.
Yeah.
But we probably need to work on the logo. Like I'd want everything to be like a symbol. Like the O has to be like a crosshair, and the A has to be the anarchy symbol.
I'm in.
And I think the T is going to be like a cross, but maybe we put it upside down because it's all Antichrist and stuff. Edgy.
Edgy. That's edgelord. I like it.
That would be great because that would be a whole new intro of content that I could record for Beau.
I'm here to help promote it in any way you need. Okay, let's get it going. Yeah. Let's get this Gafforath off. You can tell
I've thought about it. I'm like, what would a name logo look like?
The letter G, a crosshair, the anarchy symbol.
That's right. Well, that's awesome.
Russian R backwards because it looked cool.
Well, Zach, if you're listening with your dad, like you say you always do, we hope that you enjoy today's episode and we're not too profane in our episode. You know. Not that, whatever. He sounds like a kid that can handle it. He's heard Beau say some terrible things about lakes and.
I think another stage name might be like Big Bobies. Might be
Big Bobies. Big Bobies.
Show us your Bobies.
Yeah.
No, not. It's just Big Bobies. Like like you'd call somebody Wood Plank Jim or something like that. Like just the name like that.
Yeah, you'd call him Wood Plank Jim. Would be the first thing.
Wood Plank Jim, landscaper Mo. Just.
Here's what I would do. This is what you do. The album is Gafforath, but then it's Big Bobies. But then
that's the name of the album.
Or that's the name of the album. Sorry, Gafforath
yeah.
with his new album Big Bobies, and then there's a song called "Show Us Your Bobies." Everyone's satisfied.
Yeah.
And then there's the last song is called Edging. Scott doesn't know what it means.
Send the consultation fee.
Yeah. Great. Excellent. Well, on that note, let's dive into what's going on around the world of video game content. Where's my thing? Here it is right here. John, that was for you.
Whoa.
I captured that from an old Dragon Ball Z game, like a SNES game.
Oh,
and
nice.
I thought you'd like it. But I don't remember what it was, the name of the game, but I heard it and went, I'm doing that. Anyway.
You can program toilets to make sounds like that when you're depositing something. It'd be great.
The good Japanese ones, yeah. I think you can. Can't you do
you
all...
Can have a sound where it triggers, like you have a toilet that triggers a sound?
Yeah, and you can YouTube or Bluetooth your phone to them and stuff, I think.
That might be our future if Nintendo's in control.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll look it up.
Nintendo's successful, maybe that's the way we head.
What's with that Nintendo clock? Is that like I saw someone posted it? Is that what you're talking about?
It's in our news. Yeah, we're going to talk about it.
It's in our news. Yeah, we want to start with the Nintendo clock.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, right. I knew about that because we prepared a show for y'all.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about that.
I think we do it first. I mean, I know the Halo thing, the Red Dead Redemption thing. Those are all huge deals. The Play Nice book, big deals.
a nin toilet,
Nintoy tail toilet, something like that.
I do want a toilet that every time poop falls in the toilet, it makes the Mario coin sound.
Yes,
So you can
exactly.
tell when you really have to go. You just hear ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding,
Ba-ding, ba-ding. When you flush, it
Nuggets
goes pew, 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 pew. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. We don't want that. Well, anyway, let's talk about Nintendo. They announced a new device. It is not what you think. It is not new hardware for a Switch 2 or any of that stuff. They unveiled a Nintendo sound clock or an alarm clock called Alarmo. And I say that with some pause because, of course, they did.
Remember the Alarmo?
Yeah. Never forget the Alarmo. This is an alarm clock that plays music and sounds from popular Nintendo games. The device uses motion sensing technology to detect when a user has gotten out of bed, which will cause the alarm to stop. At launch, users can choose between inspired themes from Super Mario Bros. Odyssey, Splatoon 3. That seems insane. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and more. It's also supposed to sense how how much you toss and turn at night, so it can make suggestions like, "It seems like you have a sleep apnea. Go get it looked at."
Dr. Mario comes out, just starts throwing pills at you.
That'd be amazing. Just a little head pop out, a little hand hucking them, man. Little physical pills. I'd be into that. But yeah, do you guys want one of these
when you're banging?
It doesn't say, Beau. I'm afraid it doesn't get into it. I wish it did, but it doesn't say. Do you want one of these? Is anybody like, hey, yeah, freaking alarm clock?
That's why I asked the banging question.
Yeah.
I'm still deciding.
It is the font's all like Mario font.
It changes too, depending on which whether you're doing Zelda or Mario. The font for the clock changes along with it, so you get kind of like a fantasy font for Zelda. You get kind of that blocky style for Mario.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say this is a cool alarm clock.
Yeah,
as somebody that back in the day had a Nickelodeon alarm clock, which lit up and had a big giant red button that you slapped and made a lot of zany sounds.
I want to review this. I feel like Nintendo should send us alarm clocks to review.
Well, they're only $100, so, and I'm sure Nintendo after
$100.
I think last week after you were ripping on Nintendo pretty hard, I'm sure they'll send us free ones. I'm sure it'll be no problem.
Well, I mean, I'm a professional,
right?
And,
no, that's good.
I got to be honest about what I think. So that's why they should send me one.
Equal opportunity offender. Yep.
They would learn what's good and bad about their alarm clock, and when Super Alarmo comes out, then I can make adjustments.
Super Alarmo.
Oh, what about Super Alarmo 64? That'll be cool.
That's what I want. The Alarmo 64.
Yeah, that'll look like it'll be kind of blurry, but the textures will at least not wiggle like they do on a PlayStation. It'll be like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, $99.99 here in the U.S. I don't know what it translates to. That's about
actually. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless there's
because it has a digital screen.
Well, because when it first got posted in our Discord, they posted the Canadian one, and it was a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
I can't.
Right. It's probably like $120
it actually
or $150
seems like it's a reasonable price because when I first saw it, I was like, "Who's going to spend $120 on this?" And I found out, oh, it's only $100. Well, now it seems like a deal.
Well, yeah.
It was a real Prime Days sort of thing where it's like $120. I refuse. Oh, it's only $100 now. Well, now I feel positive.
Oh, I checked
Nothing
it.
Actually,
$137.42, Beau, is what you'll be paying. $137.42.
You know what's crazy too? So I'm watching the announcement from Nintendo of America YouTube site.
Yeah.
How did they manage to make a 4-minute advertisement for an alarm clock?
They explain a lot of times.
Yeah.
They're like,
this is them.
An alarm clock will wake you up when it hits a certain time. This is the sound that it will make. And then when the alarm goes up, it's just very in-depth.
I feel like an alarm clock shouldn't have more than a 30-second pitch. Like you're huffing your own farts if you're making a 4.5.
They want you to understand. And Nintendo made a 20-minute announcement video about cardboard once. This isn't new for them.
Yeah, all right. I'm just saying
they overpresent.
It's a little puzzling. It's a little puzzling of a product. I got to be honest.
It is a little bit weird.
We dove into the dumpster to see what we could find, and we found a rocket ship in the making.
There you go. Nintendo Switch Online members in the U.S. and Canada get early access to buying it. Everyone else has to wait till early 2025. So There you go.
Yeah, suck it, the rest of the world.
Yeah. I don't think I need
You're
one.
up here not getting an alarm clock before we are. How does it feel?
I mean, I kind of want one just to have it, but I don't want it $100.
I mean, I'm curious. It could be an amazing thing. Like, I don't want to poo-poo it because of the price. But apart from that, I mean,
I want it. I think it's cool. You know what? I'm going to put myself out there. I think it's cool.
Okay.
Shut up.
All right.
Anybody that's got anything else to say about it? I think it's cool.
I got something else to say about it. It's understanding the use case, right? Like, so for me, I can have an alarm clock at full blast and I will sleep through it for like 5 hours. I have high defense score versus alarm clocks.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, how does this stack up? If it doesn't even wake me up like at all, then the more we'll review the boat, like it's it's a $150 paperweight. Like I might as well just any $10 piece of crap can play loud sounds. So.
Yeah, I would almost be more tempted to put it in my office anyway. Just have it out and visible and see the little Mario guy running around. I guess that's Mario. Yeah. It's not a Mario guy. It's Mario.
Yeah, the Mario-like character.
Yeah, the Mario-like character they're using here.
We were assaulted by a Mario-like character.
Oh, I wonder if this does well if Amber Nickel makes some.
Oh, if Amber Nick makes a knockoff clock.
I'll wait for the Amber Nick version. Yeah, I
think. I mean, you can do this now with all kinds of custom LED clock things, so it's not like it's crazy.
Actually, what's funny is I got an alarm clock. Well, it's not an alarm clock. When my mom got this for me, I have it right here. I haven't hooked it up. It's a wake-up light.
Why is it by your computer?
Oh my gosh,
well,
dude.
because I opened it and I haven't set it up yet, and it was kind of a birthday gift.
Show us inside. What is this unboxing here? Ooh, look at this.
It's a light. She's like, well, since sound doesn't really wake you up, maybe crazy lights will wake you up. So it just looks like.
That's a good theory.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot.
So now, yeah.
So what it like pulses and gets brighter slowly, that kind of thing, I assume.
Yeah, it's called a wake-up light. I don't know how it works. I've just unboxed it and went cool, and then didn't plug it in because it's an alarm clock and not that exciting. So it's been here all week.
You sleep like a 5-year-old sleeps after a trip to Disneyland, and I wish I could do that.
Like a corpse. Yeah. I am basically a corpse.
I wish I could do that. I don't sleep like that.
It's true. When we stayed in the same room for Nerdtacular, his alarm went off next to me because that's where it was plugged in. And for whatever reason, his phone was not recognizing my finger as a human being's finger. I don't know why, but it would not register any. I'm like tapping it like crazy to get it to shut up.
Oh,
nothing was happening. So I walked it over and I laid it against Beau's head, and he did not wake up from that, and it was loud. It was excessively loud, and I put it right next to his head.
Does it only recognize your penis? Your finger is what I meant to say.
No,
is that the secret? Is that why my finger didn't work? Penis.
My phone. If it's the phone I'm thinking of, I had one phone that had that problem when it's plugged into power. It didn't it has touch screen problems.
Oh, okay.
So I think if he would have just unplugged it from the wall, it probably would have recognized his presses.
Oh, yank it out like you're all pissed.
It's one of those bugs you get on touch screens where it's like all messy when it's plugged in, and eventually replace it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
well,
I'm sorry, John. I mean, I apologize to anyone who shares a room with me. They think they know what they're in for, that it's going to be cool, but I will sleep through an alarm clock.
Blue fuzz
we
on the
all
soap.
have our problems.
Yeah.
I am a bed hog. I snore terribly. I got my share.
I do those things too.
When you say bed hog, you're taking sheets all the time, blankets and stuff? Is that what you mean?
I toss and turn a lot, and if given room, I will expand to fill the space.
Yeah,
he's a colonizer.
Yeah, that's true.
You're like the British in the 1400s. You're just moving out.
Yep. Yeah. Just there's something over there, and I'm not in it. I will move to it.
That's great.
Although you know who didn't complain about sleeping with me was TBK Zord. Well, he didn't sleep with me, not that way, but we shared a bed at BlizzCon.
Yeah, but he embraced his Bible all night. He held it to his chest.
We built the pillow wall between us, so in case our bums touched, we didn't become gay. That's why you build a wall like that. Is you're scared of being gay.
Did you make you made like a pillow wall? I didn't think I've never done that. I guess I've never had to
I mean, it was a pretty big king size bed. So he put it up. I was like, we're gonna have to have the discussion.
Yeah.
And there was no discussion. He just built the wall and was like, okay, I guess that settles any concerns about accidental gayness. So
Yeah.
thanks, TBK's art. It's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
I haven't talked
I
to
each have
him.
our
really
own little part
expected
of the
that
bed.
story to go a different way because I went to BlizzCon and built a pillow fort just for fun.
Yeah.
But that was not
Well, it was
for...
kind of fun to have a wall there. Like, it was cool. TBK was
Yeah.
a great roommate.
Yeah. Let me tell you this, John. You got more alpha and beta gameplay out of your fort than a bunch of games apparently Blizzard has started and then canceled that we learned about in that book already.
Yeah.
So good job.
Yeah.
Your fort game made it further than a bunch
It
of
was
really
good.
important games. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, Nintendo, good luck. Let's move on to Microsoft. They remembered Halo exists, and they decided to get serious about it, and they've done two things, big major things. We knew about the conversion to Unreal 5 a while ago. This wasn't new, but they said that they were going to be doing that. Their next game would be in Unreal Engine 5 and all the benefits therein. What they didn't tell us was that 343 Studios was going to change their name to Halo Studios. And now that's a thing. That seems like a commitment, man. You're like, you know what? We're going to make Halo a thing again. How do we do that? Well, we quit calling ourselves some third-party developer. We're going to be Halo Studios. And
Like if they F up Halo, Microsoft can't take it away and give it to another developer.
No. I
And
mean, they
it's
can, but
that'd be so weird.
It'd be terrible if they did, yeah. So anyway, that happened, and then they also showed some test gameplay, not gameplay, but some footage of what the game might look like in the engine. It was actual engine stuff. It looked like Master Chief finally has the dad bod he's always dreamed of. I don't know what happened there.
He did look a little thick.
A little
but,
thick.
You know, it's test footage. Like, I mean, I originally had a very snarky version of this headline in here where I was like, Microsoft does everything except make a good game to make Halo relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt a little mean-spirited to say, but I mean, that's what we're all hoping for. Like, let's take the snark out of it. We really would like a good Halo
We
game
would like
again.
a great Halo game because I think Halo Infinite is a good Halo game. I don't think it's a great Halo game, but I think it can be.
It's not bad, but man, did they screw it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mess ups around Halo Infinite. I also had fun with it, but it certainly didn't recapture the old games, and boy did they royally mess up the release of that game.
Plus the focus on we need a new game as a service, and I understand the temptation in that case because Halo is a juggernaut brand name. That is an IP you can hang a lot of stuff on, and I think they overswung. It's like, well, of course we'll be the next big game as a service, and it has its players, but it's not the next big thing. And I think the main game suffered as a result of that focus. I think that I hope they learn from that.
Did you guys hear about Hell Jumpers?
Hell Divers? Jumpers.
Jumpers. It's a new mode in Halo Infinite that is copying Hell Divers.
Oh, and they call it Hell Jumpers?
You're four people. There's a third-person view added, and you can go first person or third person, and you zone in with the squad and.
Oh, it's not official. Somebody made it in the Forge.
Oh, it's not official? Oh, okay.
It's the Forge thing someone did. Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's a Forge tool set thing. So that's cool though. I kind of like the Forge.
Yeah.
Forge is all right. They make some decent stuff in there. But yeah, that if that was an official thing, I would be blown away because calling it Hell Jumpers. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose, but it gives you the idea of what to expect too. So it's kind of anything with the hell in the name now is going to be like a genre.
Yep, I like it though. It makes me excited for maybe focus entirely on that game's epic single player experience and its story and the way that plays out and the longevity of that game make it things within the game. The multiplayer can exist. Obviously, it always has. But
Infinite was like the big turning point. Maybe not the big turning point, but it seemed like it was like Halo was going to be game as a service, right? Like,
yeah.
So, I didn't find it super compelling. I did play it for a little bit, but I'm imagining they're going to be wanting to try it again. And I don't know.
I mean, they have to if they're going to want to
have,
be competitive with Call of Duty. I think part of the problem is that it felt with Infinite and its multiplayer, it was like, well, of course people are going to play it and be into this. It's Halo. But it was like way too late to just ride on the, this works when you're putting out a game every couple years and it's relevant and it's the only thing people think about. Like you can almost say that with Call of Duty, right? Like you can say, well, of course people are going to play it. It's Call of Duty. Well, it also comes out every year.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason. Halo, you can't be away for that long and then go, well, of course everyone's going to play our multiplayer. It's Halo. Well, that meant a big different thing the last time that was relevant to a lot of people, and multiplayer gaming has changed. I think they do have to focus heavily on the multiplayer, but I think they can't go into it with the mindset that this is going to be a forever game. They need to go into it with the mindset of we're going to make the best multiplayer mode for this video game that we possibly can.
Yeah.
And if it takes off, here's our plans to further it.
That's 100% how they should approach it. I don't know if they will, but John is right. That's how these things should be approached. You know, even the successful ones, the games as services that blew up didn't get there because their focus was blowing up as a game as a service. It just turned out that way. So in the case of Call of Duty, it was always just multiplayer modes for the longest time. And then they kept doing it every year, and it was very popular, and they built upon that. They didn't start from scratch going, we're going to be a game as a service. They didn't do that. Neither did Fortnite. Neither do any of these kind of games. They just kind of get there because the quality and momentum of what they're doing gets them there. I would rather these guys focus on some quality, get that momentum, and then if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, fine, you wait for the next great Halo game. It's fine. Totally agree. By the way, this is what they said about the engine. We had a disproportionate focus on trying to create the conditions to be successful in servicing Halo Infinite, says the lead on the team. But switching to Unreal allows us to put the focus on making multiple new experiences at the highest quality possible. In other words, it really, really flattens their pipeline and should make things more agile and fast, and that may benefit the multiplayer side and the single-player side. But whatever it does, I just wanted to get back to what made Halo great, find that sauce, and then cook with it, you know?
Yeah. I want to play an awesome Halo game so bad.
I do too. Very much so. Anyway, so that's going on. Let's talk about another big bomb drop this week. This is crazy. After 14 years of everyone asking for it. 14 years, dude. 2010, this thing came out. Red Dead Redemption. Yeah, that one. The one before the last one. Is coming to PC on October 29th this month. Also includes Undead Nightmare, the DLC that everybody loves so much. I am stoked about this.
I'm happy about this, but you know what this feels like? You know how the stereotypical threat when you're in the car is, I'm going to turn this car around.
Yeah.
This feels like the car finally turned around and you're like, oh shit, I don't know what to do. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it's a really long time to wait, but I can tell you right now, my kids who all were forced to see me play it and then got hooked on it themselves are out of their minds excited to get together and do multiplayer stuff in it because they used to all the time. In my own view, this is one of my favorite 3 video games of all time. For a long time, it was my top game of all time. And I think the sequel is a masterpiece, but I still don't hold it in that same regard. Now, I may play this and go, oh, it hasn't held up or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But
I mean, you watch the trailer and you're like, okay, I see where we've come in 14 years. Yes.
Yeah. You can definitely tell.
You can tell. It's
just unfortunate because at the time I remember thinking this is a marvel, a technical marvel. I can't believe I'm even playing this. Look at these vast areas and I'm carving up a bear to get his skin. Amazing. And then we're in Mexico. How's that even possible? You look at it now and you go, oh, yeah, time does pass and things do change.
Yeah, 14 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. Anyway, it's coming out and I will be getting it. So
I feel obligated to get it. Like, I want it. Don't get me wrong. I've asked for this for a long time, but there is that feeling of like, well, I have to get it because I've asked for it for so long.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say, why won't you just put it on PC for 14 years? And then they do it and go, I'm not buying it. You just can't do it.
Yeah, it does. I think some people are, in fact, saying that, but I applaud you for not saying it because we have been asking for it.
It's not a remaster, right? It's just the original game. That's it.
It is a remaster, so it is up to 4K. By remaster, this is what they mean. Up to 4K. It's not a remake. Let's put it that way. Longer draw distances. There's some cutscenes. They show some comparisons where you walk into this lady's house early in the game, and out the door you see like this extra little barn thing, and it's pretty close to where you are. In the new version, it's like way off in the smoky distance where they intended it to be, but they couldn't get the frame rates right. So there's a lot of that improvement apparently.
Okay.
So more than your, just up res and off you go. So, widescreen, all that shit. I guess it was widescreen before. It's 1080p before, or 720, whatever it was. Yeah, I'm excited. Weirdly, I don't even know why. I'm probably going to be disappointed. I don't know why I'm excited. I love this game.
There's nothing wrong with being excited. I want to go back to it too. There are so many games that came out in that era, because that's like the heyday of Xbox 360 and all that, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many games we played, and they've all been remastered and re-released and put on Steam, and you can play them whenever you want for the most part. And now we are finally at a spot where one of the games that was one of the biggest games, that game being Red Dead Redemption, I see you, chat, is finally coming back out on PC, and you're finally going to have the ability to play it again. I don't think I've played that game for 14 years. You know what I mean? It's not like I fired it back up, and I got reminded of a lot of it for the sequel, but it would be cool to go back, especially because that sequel ties so closely into the things that happen in Red Dead Redemption. I think it's going to be a really cool experience to go back and play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how good the gameplay feels, if the shooting holds up. Like, I have some questions, but I have such fond feelings for just the tone of the thing that I think I'm just in, just because. And it's okay that it's a little less complex than its sequel, because of course the sequel is, went crazy new lengths of doing things. I mean, the sequel came out in 2018, and on PC a year later, whatever it was. That's already a huge amount of time from 2010. Well, it was, how long is that? 2018, 2010, 2010 to
14 yours?
Oh, okay. No, wait, that can't be right.
No, 2018 to 2010 is 8 years.
8 years, 8 years apart. That's already a pretty vast amount of time in game years. And I don't know, the fact that we're finally getting it is good. Undead Nightmare coming with it is great. I freaking love that DLC back in the day.
Undead Nightmare is so good.
It's so good, you guys. For those worried
about
stupid. Yeah, and if you're worried about continuity, like, well, isn't your character dead for part of it? Yes, but that's separate. It's a thing you don't play the one and then go, oh no, I can't play the other game now. I've already died in this zombie Halloween
It's
DLC.
called Nightmare. Like, it's got it right in the name what it is. It's its own thing. You get to ride the horses of the apocalypse.
Yep.
And you get to hear a Western man have earnest conversations about zombies.
Yeah, it's good. And it just flips the whole thing on its head. I love it. Anyway, that's all coming out. Watch for it. 29th. Rockstar's got more news on it, or some quotes and stuff. And it will be coming to Steam, Epic, and the Rockstar store. Yes, that still exists. All three are getting it. I will be getting it on Steam. That's where I'll get it.
The Rockstar store needs to die. It's caused a lot of problems for me.
Yeah, I don't have fond anything for it.
I'm actually locked out. I don't think I can play Red Dead Redemption on Steam, because my Steam account is attached to a different Rockstar account that it won't let me log into to disconnect it. It's a great big mess.
Yeah.
I hate that it exists, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
I share that same mess, and it makes me feel a little more appreciative of the people who don't like Sony making PSN accounts happen for PC releases. Because while I'm over here saying, oh, it's no big deal, I got my password, I know what it is, I'm good. But there are going to be people in the boat of like, I don't remember when I did a PSN thing. What if this isn't the same one as my PS3 login that I created 14 years ago? Like, there's a lot of stuff with that
problem is companies on a whim decide to change their entire account and online structure, and if they consider what the user experience is, sometimes it doesn't feel like they do, because it is not the first time I've been locked out of an account because a company decided, well, now we're going to tie it to this. Oh, now we're going to tie it to this, and we're going to let you link these accounts but not unlink them, and it's just a big mess for no good reason.
It's a pain. They should be able to recognize the content on your computer and say, do you want to use that one? Oh, you don't? Well, you want to reset it then? But we have some save stuff. Do you want to reset it and then keep the save stuff? Or there are ways to do this to make me, the consumer, happy. But what they'd really like you to do, John, is to buy that game 3 times somewhere. Just because it drove you crazy, so you bought it 3 times, at least 2. That's what they want.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto needs to be in the top-selling PC games for another 8 years.
Yeah, definitely make that happen. All right, we're all reading the brand new book, Play Nice, from Jason Schreier. I have barely touched it because I've been too busy, but I will be reading a bunch of it this weekend. It is out. It is the Blizzard book, the tell-all Blizzard book, which turns out from a lot of reviews I'm reading is more of like a, well, like here's what Forbes says. Jason Schreier's Play Nice, a monstrous evolution of Blizzard is a fascinating ride. I mean, they're more, most of the reviews I read are less about anything too saucy and more about, yeah, this is a meteoric rise of a company. And
I've read the whole thing.
oh, you finished it? Oh, shit.
Yeah, I read. Yeah, sorry.
That's great.
Yeah, I read it. It's done. I think most of the spicy stuff, if I had to guess, was already out there when he did his round of press reviews.
Yeah.
It's not like tell all is. I don't know. It's not
really that.
There were it's a breezy read. It's an enjoyable read, I suppose. But a lot of it is. I'm like, oh, I already knew this stuff.
Yeah.
But just as like someone who pays attention to it a lot, maybe a lot of people don't. So I'm not saying it's not worth people's time to read. I just know for my part, there might be details that I didn't know, but it's an overall chronology of things. So when they're talking about Diablo 3 and how the Reaper of Souls expansion's canceled, it's like I read the article when it came out. I know that happened, but so it was still enjoyable to read as like a way to put the chronology all in order. And there's tidbits here and there where it's not like I knew everything in the book, but the overall broad picture, which is trying to chart its trajectory, at least from like known external stuff. It's like we were there for HGC, the Heroes of the Storm stuff is like clear.
Yeah. Painfully clear.
On that note, the one thing that was kind of new is I could tell John to stop hating Overwatch because HGC got shit canned because Kotick was.
So that was like
everyone over on Activision wanted them to. It's the same stuff we've been reading about Square Enix and everything else. It's like, yeah, StarCraft made money, but it didn't make Warcraft money. Yeah, so it's a piece of shit. StarCraft's a piece of shit. Heroes is a piece of shit. Diablo's a piece of shit. What are you doing? Why aren't we putting more people on World of Warcraft? I mean, that's to summarize the whole Activision perspective is like all these things you're doing is garbage and waste of time. BlizzCon, waste of time. And and who's to say that won't be the same with Microsoft? I don't know, but like definitely under Activision, all the people on that side just don't understand Blizzard.
My understanding is this is too early. The book is the Microsoft acquisition is too early for this book to have anything on that, really, right? There's not a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. There's nothing about Microsoft except
it got mentioned in the prologue, but
there's a bit about Phil Spencer coming in and negotiating the deal because it does cover the period of time the sexual harassment allegations happened. While like that's when the purchase talk started. So there's definitely mention of it and of that first BlizzCon, but there's nothing substantial. And that's what I would say is like there's some stuff in there that you'll read that is like is an accounting, but it isn't like filled to the brim with anything shocking. It's like Kotick didn't come down and moon Mike Morhaime and say kiss my ass, kiss the ring, or there's nothing crazy like that in the book. So
yeah.
Some of that mention of
some of that was virtually happening.
A fist fight, and there's a mention of some people not getting along, but it doesn't. It's just not what the core of the book is. The core of the book is like, tracking kind of the successes and failures of the various IPs and how people felt in the internal politics, mostly on Alan Adham and Mike Morhaime and Bobby Kotick.
Did Morhaime and maybe you don't want to tell us, but I want that fist fight to be between Kotick and somebody else.
No, it's early days, and I think it was if memory serves, it was Metzen and someone else, but I'm not sure who it was.
Oh, I know what this is, and I will shut up now. I know what it is. That's in the book?
Yeah, well, you might know, but it's in the book.
You didn't even need to get more information.
I know exactly what it is. I'm just shocked it's in the book. I thought that was... I don't know what I thought.
It's really early days. And that's the other thing I'd say about this book is that and a lot of the stuff that he talked about, he's like, I talked to 300 people. I got all the sources. A lot of the book doesn't source things. It just kind of writes it as is, which I found a little bit of a mild irritation because if you're like removed once from like a private conversation, you might have conjecture. Like it's important to attribute quotes and say like this person said the reasons for this.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's just written like, well, here's what happened and this is what happened, and it's like, who said that? Because Jason doesn't know.
Yeah.
And I just found I didn't like the style a little bit. It might have made for a more boring book, but it might have made for a more accurate book.
Let me ask you this
So
question.
I was reading it. I was like a little worried that people are going to take it and be like, well, that's just what happened, And I was like, I don't know. I'd read it with a bit of skepticism, honestly, because he's sourcing a lot of his stuff from perspectives that.
Well, it's because a lot of people wouldn't give him.
It's alleged, like that. In the law, it wouldn't hold up. You'd have to say it was alleged by, even if you were keeping it anonymous. It was alleged by an anonymous source.
Some people
not enough of that in the book.
Yeah, some people straight up just didn't talk to him. I know that for a fact. He reached out to them, but they were like, "Yeah, I'm not talking to you. I'm not doing this."
No, and a lot of stuff is like from YouTube, like you're mentioned in the book.
Yeah, can I get some clarification on that? That interview that he sourced or cited with me and Metzen. What actually got used there? Is it damning of any kind, or is it a weird thing at all?
So, I think it has.
I'm nervous.
It has to do with difference between Rob Pardo and him, which the book goes into on several occasions. Not in any great detail, but that they had major differences. They'd worked together on certain products amicably or whatever. Like they got StarCraft Brood War out the door together and all that. But like, later they sort of were a lot of Blizzard. Were siloed according to the book by various like long-standing leaders, and like Pardo and him would get into yelling matches over whether to use the color blue or pink on something, and it was almost like Pardo was just being antagonistic, and then a whole bunch of people had to sit there and watch them have yelling matches, and it was like a common thing. And as history would bear out, Metzen's a beloved figure there. He even left and came back, and Pardo at a certain point was kind of fucking the dog on projects, basically, as my old man would say.
Wait a minute. Your dad used to say that? What does that mean? Just like...
That means you're like, if you give me a job to do and it takes an hour and I take 5 hours to do it, I'm fucking the dog. That's what my dad would tell me.
Wow.
And not like as an old man. Like I learned that when I was like 5. He's like, what? He gave me like a task to do, like do the dishes. And he's like, if you wouldn't fuck the dog, you'd have been done by now.
So that's different than screw. Chat's saying screw the pooch, but that's not the same. Screw the pooch means you screwed up and it's over. Like you effed it up, it's gone, you're done. You broke it.
I didn't grow up in a family, or I didn't have a father who believed in not saying the F word because the kids were around. I wasn't allowed to say it, but I was going to hear it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Don't do what I say, or don't do what I do what I say. That's how I was raised.
That's how it was, sure.
So kids, don't use the F word. I'm allowed to. I'm repeating the cycle of abuse or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
But anyways, but he kind of screwed the pooch. Well, screwed the pooch seems, I guess it's the same thing. It just doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, but effing the dog means that you took too long. You diddled around.
Screw the pooch means you just did a bad job.
Yeah.
Right. So effing the dog is like you're busy making love to the dog and not doing the work.
I like that you niced it up.
Yeah, I like that.
Romance.
It's very romantic.
There was some whining and dining.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, didn't expect this to become a topic. Anyways, no. He like Rob Pardo apparently might have been on Titan or a different property. I can't remember which one. Was like, wasting time.
Oh, yeah.
People would come to him. He just like, whatever, it sucks. He'd say no all the time. It sucks, but not give any direction. And it had come to a head, I think, when Titan, 80 million down the tube, and people were very unhappy with him. And they said it'd be better if you resigned. And so Rob Pardo resigned.
Yeah.
But anyways, there is some. It doesn't get into a lot of detail about that, about the conflict between them. But I mean, it is a central. Metzen is like a primary character that gets brought up a lot, but it's mostly about Morheim, Alan, and Bobby.
What about?
Well, it feels like that was. It feels like maybe this is a project that evolved a little bit. Like I got an early sense when you read about the book that maybe the original intent of this book was to talk about how Blizzard started and got acquired and Activision's slow influence over the company. It feels like that was probably going to be the scope, but then how do you not acknowledge all the allegations that came out during that window and stuff and expand it? That all felt like that kind of was expanded and maybe not the purpose of the book.
It goes through, it's very breezy. So it's like they're covering 33 years, and anything that you'd want more detail on, they're just going to like talk about and then move on. Like it's going to be quick on a lot of that stuff. So, you know, yeah, I would not say it's a primary feature. I feel like Mike is a primary character, Mike Morheim and Bobby, except, and this is another little critique, he's kind of nice up to Bobby.
Who
There's a lot of stuff about Jason Schreier.
Oh, Schreier, yeah.
He left a bunch of stuff out that it's like, Bobby had a lot of sexual harassment allegations, so he spent a lot of time with the problems of Blizzard, but like, Bobby has no time on that stuff. Things of that nature. And I've seen him in interviews because I was curious about the book, just also saying like, they paint Activision to be a bad guy, but he's actually just a businessman. And Mike Morheim made mistakes. And I'm reading the book and I'm like, how did you pull that out? Bobby's a piece of shit. Like your own book even confirms it. So I don't know why he's, but he omitted stuff that is like well known about Bobby that clearly he's in the Epstein book. Like he's rubbing shoulders with all kinds of shady people. And he's definitely the kind of CEO that if there's something nasty to get done, he'll get someone else to do it. He's a coward. Like his word for that, it's coward.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a genius or an NBA to be like, that money we made last quarter, let's make more of it next quarter. All right, guys, good meeting. Any old idiot can do that. I'm sorry. And that's what
like
Bobby
the apology that he had somebody else write and told him what to say and then got mad at her for.
Which is mentioned in there. And there's actually one good part I think Jason kind of did. I don't know how much of an impact will have, but he did clarify the Cosby Suite thing to try and exonerate a lot of people because the Cosby thing really related to the sweater, and the Cosby sweater was a thing.
And the carpet.
MF Doom. And in MF Doom, like as a rapper, and his whole persona is I have the metal face mask and a Cosby sweater.
Yeah.
Because it's just the vibe, right? So, but he, I guess, at one point talked to, what's his name? It wasn't Greg Street, although Greg Street's mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, Greg was in there.
Maybe Jason Kovac. I can't remember the name. Not Jason Hayes. But one of the guys was like having a hard time getting work because he was associated with the Cosby Suite, and it was not anything to do with like a sexual harassment room. Even though Alex Afrasiabi was like, it was his room, So it's like, it just so happened, like as coincidence, Cosby turned out to be a career rapist, and that whole thing is put in a new scope. In the article, and Jason even said, I talked to the guy who wrote the original article for Kotaku that went really viral, and he's like, do you regret? And he's like, no, I reported on what was there. But it's like, clearly it was a damaging piece that was not fully, the context of which was not fully verified. And of course, the internet, with its hair on fire, just turned it into what it is. So he does spend some time, I think, fairly kind of clarifying that even though it wasn't a good look, the stuff was from a time where people weren't like, oh yeah, we're like Cosby the rapist. It's so cool. They were like, like that. Who would do that? Like there wasn't the culture, even though there was bad culture there, the culture wasn't like they're putting posters of their favorite pedophiles up on the walls or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, plus a lot of the Cosby Suite thing happened at a time before the Cosby stuff was made public. Nobody knew about that shit.
Yeah. Well, I am hypersensitive to that because BlizzCon was happening when the Cosby stuff became public. Yeah. I know this because I was at one of their like voiceover competition thingies they were doing at the at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
And I did a Bill Cosby impression as a joke during that panel, and one of the panelists joked, well, that's a bold impression to pull off.
Yeah.
And I had no idea why they said it. It's because that day the allegations about Bill Cosby came out.
Right.
I didn't know. I was too busy being like, video games, woo! But I had no idea. So I'm sitting there talking like Bill Cosby, just and then next thing I know, people are like, "Well, I don't know about doing that."
Somebody misconstrued what you were doing. They were like, "Oh shit, you must have been friends with those guys who like evangelize rapists." Or something.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Greg got pointed to that way. Another one I really like who got completely wrapped up in that and shouldn't have was Corey Stockton. He's one of the most nicest, family-oriented, devoted husband-father guys I've ever known at that company. and he got wrapped up in it because he happened to stop by. Like that thing just turned into a shit show for no reason.
And there was also like a screenshot of a private chat that got leaked, and where it was Kovac was him and his wife and her friend were going up to the room, and he's like, "I'm going to the Cosby Suite with hot chicks," but it made it sound, he was just probably drunk, texting something kind of funny, like it's
yeah, like I would do with I do this
like
with my
friends.
wife all the time.
Yeah, or we with you guys, where it's just like, hey, who wants I don't know, who wants to see some testicles or something? Like it's not meant as sexual harassment. It's just like
the amount of times I log into the core Discord and Bo goes,
well,
hey
maybe
guys,
it's not core. It's more Crofton.
testicles?
I like to write really gross things because he might be in a meeting, and I hope he reads it. So we just have this thing going on. But you could take that out of context and be like,
sense,
I'm a real, shitty person or whatever. And anyway, so the book kind of clarifies, kind of like tries to exonerate a little bit there, and I appreciated some effort on that because I had a sense that might have been the case, but it was hard to know during that time because there were some serious problems and the business was siloed. So the good chunk of the back end of the book does deal with it. It's pretty comprehensive, and he does have a lot of ground to go over. And like I said, I read it in a day. So it was a very breezy read, but I just say, like, as critiques, like it covered a lot of ground that for me was like, I already knew this. Like,
yeah.
But at the same time, it was nice to see it succinctly put. Basically, the people, Alan and Mike, right from the beginning, wanted to bring people in who liked games. Like that was the interview process. Like they had to vet you for your actual game playing. Even at one point, it was funny. Someone commented that they checked Mike Morheim's like hours as he was CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. This is later in like StarCraft 2 era, and like he messaged at 2 a.m. with some StarCraft notes, and they just checked his playtime hours, and they realized he spent his whole weekend playing StarCraft, like a savage, and they were just thinking, what Fortune 500 like person is actually just playing their own product?
Oh, it's almost like they accidentally bumped into the reason that they're successful and make great games. Weird.
Right.
Yeah,
like
odd.
Every other like company that's publicly traded and big, it's like, yeah, I sell soap to those suckers, but I don't use our soap. I use like $10,000 soap because I'm rich and like, screw the poor people. Like, it's just, so there was such a cultural divide between what, Activision was and Bobby was and Mike, and he got to the point, like basically Mike just got to the point where he just couldn't, like they were, as soon as WoW started losing players, basically, and that's when Bobby took back full ownership of Activision, essentially, and then the process had begun of slowly encroaching, and it got to the point where like Mike's like, I can't hold him back anymore, like it's just
he's running interference.
Never-ending like deal. So
did they talk about Frank Pierce much? Because he's the third founder, but I haven't heard you mention him.
Yeah, he was mentioned in there. Mostly he came up because like it was shocking the amount of people. Jason was saying it was shocking the amount of people that were dating other people. Like even just doing his interviews, he like interviewed one person and then he interviewed a second person, and in the background he saw the person he interviewed before. And he's like there were 3 different marriages from Blizzard people out of people he talked to. Like So there's a very inappropriate culture, and Frank got brought up in that because I think he was married to someone and then left that person, but they were both still Blizzard employees for a younger woman that was also a Blizzard employee.
I'm going to say this. I am married to a person I worked with.
Yeah.
It happens.
It definitely happens.
We live in a world where people expect you to spend a lot of flipping time at work.
Sure.
That's where you meet a lot of people sometimes.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue.
It's like one thing when you're the founder and you develop
that is true.
With
the
QA,
power dynamic does
with an age QA person.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, it's possible, but it's just when everyone's doing it, then you're like, what are we doing here? And when your workforce is like 10% women and some of like it's not saying that it's like some big crime. It's just as in leadership positions, like the reason why a lot of the sexual harassment took place was because the leaders were cool with it, and maybe they did it right, but the people watching the role models took away a different message, and that's kind of what you have to grapple with.
And it is different. In my case, we didn't report to each other. We just worked for the same
He
company.
does say like Frank being a founder is a retcon because he often gets touted as a founder, but he was just employee number 1. But because he'd been there for he was tenured, they kind of just give him the thing. But
see, I didn't know that because he was like the founding programmer, engineer. Well, so is Morhaime. Morhaime engineered, but he was like a.
What's notable about all this is just like they overworked everybody constantly because they loved games. They lived, and so the way that basically they manipulate people, and even with the best of intentions, is like, well, we'll make you vice president. Like, we'll give you stock options, we'll give you perks, we'll give you power, like to make people stay around. So like Frank being an integral part, I'm sure it was like, please work 24 hours a day, we'll make you a founder or something. It's like that kind of dynamic. So
sure,
but technically he wasn't part of the seed money that founded Silicon and Synapse and did that. It was just Alan, according to the book.
Okay.
It was just Alan and Mike.
All right.
So it's a breezy read, and I don't want to give everything away until you guys had a chance to read and digest it. It was an enjoyable read. I just felt it was too soft on Bobby. There's things I know just from the press that are just completely omitted from the profile painted from him.
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge miss, and I think also I would have liked to have seen more sourcing. It's speaking that in that authoritative third person where this happened and this happened and this happened. I'm like, where did you source that? And he did do some sourcing. Like I said, that small comment about that Chris made, he sourced on your podcast. I was like, oh, but when I read it, I was like, he got that from Scott's podcast. That has to be somewhere. So I went to the notes and found it. But it's not like you're mentioning the actual text where the source is.
No, it's just where he got it. Sure.
But there's just some stuff that I'm like, this sounds like it could be conjecture, and you'll see that when you read it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, John and I'll tear through it. We may have some additional conversations about it as we've consumed it.
I think so. But the big theme to walk away from is that basically all IPs that are World of Warcraft are shit. Like from a financial standpoint and as a product, and it's hard for me to even say like, will Microsoft really see it this way? Like when your one thing is earning billions and StarCraft's a success because it made $60 million, it's like,
yeah,
like BlizzCon is canceled this year. They're skipping it.
Yeah,
because sales were bad last year. But I don't like if Mike was still there, you probably still want to do I don't know. It just seems like maybe there won't be another BlizzCon. I don't know.
I get that feeling every day, but I could be wrong. Maybe they'll bring it back.
And speaking of which, it's funny reading that book and hearing about Diablo because Diablo 3, that second expansion getting canceled really pissed me off. Right?
Yeah.
That's a huge thorn in my side.
Yeah.
And we're right now. This would be when Diablo 4's expansion gets canceled. Vessel of Hatred's released, so if this follows the same pattern as Diablo 3, they're in a room right now getting told, sorry, no more expansions to Diablo 4.
Hopefully not.
And,
hopefully not, because I have some very glowing things to say about this new expansion, and I would like it to continue.
It's hard to get better feedback than Reaper of Souls, honestly. That was a very high point for the whole series, and it still happened.
And they still canned it. Well,
they knew it was good. When they canceled it, who? Because they're just we need more people on Titan, or we need more people on this other bet. So I don't know. It feels like they might have finally siloed off their teams. This is the Diablo team, and World of Warcraft doesn't get to poach them anymore.
Yeah.
I think so. But there's a lot of that in Blizzard's history where it's just we need everyone working on this thing right now, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
you hear a lot about that in there. I think that has changed, though. I think there's a lot more silos. In a positive, hopefully a positive way. I don't know what it means for their culture, but there's less poaching of people. Yeah, less of that. Less reaching over and going, hey, that guy that did that amazing thing, wow, we need him over here on the Overwatch team. You now work for Overwatch. That doesn't happen anymore.
Well, the big thing was Titan sucked all the most talented people, and they made nothing for 8 years.
Dude,
yeah, that's pretty bad.
That is such
at
a
one
bummer.
point they had enough artwork to do 5 games. Someone was quoted as saying. And someone, they'd be do concept art for this character, and they do the concept art, and then they go into the repository, and they'd find someone had already done it 2 years earlier. It was an exercise. I would just want a story about what it was like to work on Titan and feel this existential horror that your life is working on something that has zero value and no meaning, as an artist.
One big book about Titan would be an amazing read. I just want to know everything.
That's why I was a little disappointed. It just doesn't go into detail too much on anything where you're I'd like to know more about that, about, heroes, that stuff. But I'm sure, I don't know. If it was you or me asking the questions, we might ask different questions.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, it also feels like this is maybe an attempt to bring stories that are maybe well known to people that are, into this sort of thing to a
Yeah.
broader audience.
I
And
think the
so,
broader audience will not know this stuff. Like Crofton, I think, is planning on reading it. He doesn't know squat about Blizzard, so I think it'll be very informative for him.
He's in no squad about
But a lot of
nothing.
it was like, oh yeah, like we talk about this every week. I was there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
the
gonna.
good stuff. And so there's a lot of that, but at least it goes by quickly. So, you're not stuck on for 15 chapters talking about Diablo 3. It moves pretty quick.
That's
yeah,
true.
I'm liking it so far. I think it's a really good read so far. So,
Well, moving on to a very unrelated note, Paradox. The people that make all the strategy games and the whatnots over there.
yeah, the games when you go to buy them, it's
Mhm.
only $752 for all content.
That's right. If you want all the DLC from a quality Paradox game, get ready to empty your bank account because, oh boy. But anyway, they have a reputation for releasing unfinished games. I think that's true. They do have that reputation. I feel that way about them somewhat recently. They hate that, they say, and they want to fix that. They're pledging to, and I quote, stop, unquote.
Here's what I don't understand about their games. Like Stellaris has like 15 expansions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At a certain point, like you have to say, like, okay, we're gonna roll up the first 10 into the base product. Like
if they did
make it
just
easy.
that, I think it would change their reputation
Yes.
to a degree. Like that, like I don't mind games that you want to keep adding content to. The problem is they keep putting out, it's like, well, it's a new week, time for our $15 expansion to the game that is evergreen $15. Maybe it goes down to $8. And we're doing this constantly. So, I'm kidding when I say $752, but I'm not kidding that much.
Oh no, that's realistic. That's realistic.
Yeah.
Check out Crusader Kings 2.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
And look at Crusader Kings 3.
Well, let's look at 3.
You want some
wanna
more?
get into it and all the content?
Yeah, I think the only one that didn't have 14 miles of content was Crusader Kings 1
$221.90 of DLC
for 3 or 2.
plus for 3 plus 60 70. This is Canadian, so $300 Canadian, probably like $250 American.
Yeah, for the content I don't have for Crusader Kings 3, it's $163, and I have some of it.
But the reason why I say 2 is because 2 went free to play, which was probably smart of them to do. But
that's how they do it. They go free to play on the base game, and then they still charge for all this DLC.
The DLC, there's 42 DLCs,
Yeah.
$425.
Oh my gosh. That's a lot. You know what, John? That's like 2.5 Star Trek Online lifetime subscriptions.
It is. It's a lot of lifetime subs to Star Trek Online right there.
We should use that as the
I'm
standard.
all for this. Like, I find Paradox games interesting. Like, you will never, no, EVE Online is a thing, but you'll hear some really fascinating stories out of games like Stellaris and stuff like that sound really cool.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about a hard thing to like say, okay, well, I want to get into it because you're looking at an absolutely insane price to get current. And also, what is current? Like, that's the other thing that I have a problem with is it's like, well, should I buy all of this or should I just get the base game? Is that enough? I don't know how much feels withheld from this so that they can sell me additional content versus what should be there. And it becomes something that's just kind of impossible to parse. So I think they do have to figure stuff out. I think Beau's idea of like roll it into packs is like, that's the smallest thing I feel like they could do that would help.
Yep.
I mean, it helps to onboard new players. Like when I try to get into a new Paradox game, because it's not just about buying all of it. Some of them are bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them aren't good games.
Then you're checking the reviews and you're like, do I skip this one? It looks interesting. And who knows, maybe they're wrong and I want to judge for myself. And you're like, but it does bring down the price $30. It's.
Is Stellaris,
you know what happens?
Stellaris is still
F it. I'm gonna play something else.
Yeah, no,
Yep,
that's true.
No, you're exactly right.
You're absolutely right. Do you think? I think Stellaris is still their biggest hit, right?
550. I just looked. If you want to get started and own, have
my
everything up to
Lord,
date.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, they
I mean,
claim
some of that stuff's species packs. So, but still, it's not a good look on your page. I'm sorry.
the highest rated game from them ever, according to GamersDecide.com, is Hearts of Iron 4. So a game about tanks. So that's cool. And City Skylines is up there. They are now the publisher on that.
Considered their top seller on Steam right now, according to their page.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a bunch of
Hearts of Iron 4. It's 2016, 8-year-old game, and it's only All in, you're probably paying 300 Canadian, 250 American for a booster game.
It's basically Europa Universalis with tanks.
Remember, there's no 3D graphics. It's not an Unreal Engine game. It's all just a bunch of. Looks like a world map.
Yeah, it looks like school. It looks like,
map, and it has yes, it looks like school.
It looks like homework. I don't want it to be homework. A lot of their games look like homework, unfortunately.
I think this is a world. This must be a World War.
World War II, I think.
War game.
Yeah. People are into those. I get that there's an audience for that, but I'm always surprised that's number one. This one has Stellaris ranked 5th. That's still pretty high though. Well, anyway.
I like this review. Someone's like, astonishing game, 1,272 hours on record. Holy shit!
That's a lot. That's an astonishing
Hearts of Iron
number.
4 is spectacular on its own, but the modding scene has made it billions upon billions of times more replayable. 1,100 hours and still don't know how Navy works. I love you. Never change.
Oh my lord!
I feel like this is like the video game generation version of going to your grandparents' house and looking at his collection of submarine books.
Yeah. Yes, and often these are the same human beings, John. I have uncles like that are probably playing that game, if I had to guess. It just seems like a very specific stripe of humanity that are way into the things we just said. Let's get to A Quiet Place. Not this podcast, but the movie and the series, and now a video game. Quiet Place, The Road Ahead. That video game will measure how loud you are with your controller's microphone.
We joked about that when we talked about the games of October, that they should do it. And it's not like we invented this. This is an obvious idea that I think everybody would think of with this game. But I do think it's very cool.
I don't know. I don't either.
And I think it's a smart thing that they're doing. So if you heard us make the joke about you have to actually be quiet to play a Quiet Place game, well, they put that in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. The timing seems suspicious that this announcement came after our show, didn't it?
Well, yeah, like a week later, they just patched it in real quick. They did it in a week.
Yeah, it only takes a week
to add in, hooking.
They put in that and a Vampire Survivor.
Look at a mic, and if there's like any, like looking at the WAV file, all they got to do is like put an if clause, if like the decibels are higher than whatever.
Yeah.
Then,
spawn monster.
Spawn monster, like they're done.
Easy peasy. Somebody got off the podcast, threw their headphones down, and said, "Stat, we got to put this in." I'm sure that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's a great idea.
Actually, hang on. Whoa, this is the gaming industry. They don't actually have to have had put it in before they're ready to announce. I mean, Anthem was like nothing when they showed that at E3. So
that's true. That was.
So stop asking like these guys are. Guys are
that's
not
true. They have time to make another
Vampire
Vampire Survivor.
It is perfect though, because the Quiet Place mythos entirely revolves around audio being a problem, sound being a problem for these aliens. They hear, they're hypersensitive to noise, and that's it. They're blind otherwise. So it makes perfect sense that you would put it in here. I think it's great.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
It's going to be a real problem for people that are loud clackers on the controller. Have you ever known somebody that's just like, they can't help themselves? They're real loud when they use the controller.
I think I do that. Hold on. Let me, I got a controller. Here's how I'd use it normally. It's pretty clacky.
Yeah, that's pretty clacky. Yeah.
How's my clack?
That's quiet.
It's not bad.
You're not going to get eaten by any monsters. You can game in a Quiet Place world.
You'll be okay.
Nice.
Doesn't matter the brand either.
Well, thank you, Manba, for your sweet Manba controllers.
Yeah, thanks, Manba.
Controllers.
You guys are amazing. Finally, speaking of Blizzard, let's talk about Morheim's new thing. We finally know what his game's going to be. It's announced as Sunderfolk. Sunderfolk. Okay.
Sunderfolk.
Well, pick them up and get it out of there.
That's right. I don't know.
It looks sweet.
How I feel about it. It's a tactical adventure game is what they call it. There's some gameplay, not gameplay, but some footage here of this thing. Given the number of people we know that used to be at Blizzard that are now there, it looks like Blizzard artists and Blizzard vibe to me. Mm-hmm. But it's got turn-based strategy and talking animal heads.
Use your phone as a controller.
And is it? Yeah, exactly. It's like what do you call that when you play like the Jackbox games? That's got a name for it. Not asynchronous. It's something else. Whatever it is. But you're basically all couch co-oping with your phone and making your decisions on your phone. Given the normally the sort of thing I'd see and go, okay, whatever. You'll have to prove it to me. But given the legacy of all of these very talented people, I'm pretty interested in this. I want to see how this goes. So,
I mean, you must be able to use your like a controller too. Like, I'm assuming it's not phone required.
I don't know. They really push in all of the stuff I've read. They're really pushing the whole, co-op, couch. You've all got a phone. Everyone has phones, right? That kind of attitude. There's a lot of that going on.
Everyone's got controllers, so you know.
Yeah.
Beau's like me. I was trying to be nice. I'm like, I'm just gonna leave this alone. Beau's turning into me.
Yeah, a little
right
bit
before my very eyes. I saw it and I was like, oh, cool. I'm excited to see what they're doing. And it went that you control with your phone. And I went, okay. And I stopped watching the trailer right then.
I play.
I'll be honest with you. It's kind of news to me. I skipped because I just skipped ahead to see the gameplay when I watched it, so I skipped the phone part.
Oh yeah.
So I'm still processing it. I think live a little bit.
I think here's the thing. I initially was a little grumpy about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's good that we're exploring this as an option. I think it's cool that we're taking advantage of it. I've certainly had like the Jackbox party pack games. Like that's a nice thing to break out because it is easy for people to come over and like you're not always around people that are familiar with controllers, but I can be like, Dad, just pick up your phone, go to this website. Like getting them on the website and signed in is hard enough. I can't imagine what giving them a controller would do.
Yeah.
So like I understand all that. But I guess where I'm ultimately landing is I'm not going to get excited for it. Like, that's not what I'm looking for in my life, but I don't want to tell people, like, you can't make video games like that anymore. Absolutely. Go make video games like that. It's cool, but I'm not interested.
Optional. It's on all the consoles. I just feel like the console manufacturers wouldn't agree to a game.
But keep in mind. So I don't want to hammer this too hard, but keep in mind that the thing we're comparing this to is the Jackbox games. They use controllers to navigate around menus, and if you're on a PC, you can use your mouse and keyboard too. But the games themselves, when 8 of you are facing off in some game, it's all phones all the time. So I'm not saying it'll be like that.
You can use a web browser on your PC, actually. It's not.
Well, that's true. You can use an iPad. You can use lots of different devices. But the idea is that you're all on the couch. Hey, everybody, pull your phone out. We're going to play this game. Like that's the idea. Right, I'm not nearly as skeptical about this. I'm not stoked. Like I'm not.
Yeah, that's a great way to say how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm just sort of like, I kind of thought maybe they'd have a big MMO competitor, or they would go crazy with like RTS. Or
I kind of thought they'd make a video game.
Yeah, like a game I play.
They're halfway to a CRPG with this, right? Like, there's another realm where like you see the combat here, which is kind of what I thought it was going to be, and you have a CRPG.
Yeah. But they are making, it's basically Gloomhaven on your phone. Oh, someone in the chat even said it. It's like Gloomhaven is what it reminds me of. I've played a bit of it both digitally and board game. It's a beast of a board game. I'm sure this is more simplified, but it looks like co-op competitive Gloomhaven, that's intriguing enough for me. But I'm also just not a gimmick player. I don't get excited about these kind of gimmicks. But that being said, I play a lot of Jackbox whenever there's an opportunity. It's freaking fun as hell. And I don't ever go, I wish this wasn't on phones. It's perfect on phones. Yeah. It's perfect for what it is.
There's never been a time I've played Jackbox and went, I didn't have any fun with that.
Yeah, it's always good. So maybe
sometimes I might say that about one of the games in the Jackbox pack, but I've never regretted deciding to pull out a phone and play that with people.
No, it's good stuff. I have them all, and I have a good time. This could be that, or this could be a bad idea.
I'm a little more disappointed now that I know it's like the way it is, 'cause I just thought it was a CRPG.
Yeah, it's definitely not that. I like turn-based. That's fun.
Well, turn-based is, I think, if it's going to be couch co-op, that way you get grandma to play with you. It's like
now you don't have to move all at once, grandma. Yeah, you can take a break. Do you need to pee because it's not your turn? That kind of thing.
It's accessible to folks, to wider audience. Just I could definitely see that being it's a Blizzard tenet, right? Like they want to bring in as many people to their games as they can. Easy to learn, hard to master. So I don't know if that's. Yeah. I guess I just kind of assumed that it'll be easy to learn, hard to master. So we're doing a CRPG, and like I could play all 4 characters myself, and we're gonna have some interesting tactical battles. But I don't know.
We'll have to see.
Still an alpha, so it could change. But anyways, that's announced.
Yeah, we have no dates on that, but we do have a date for our break. Speaking of peeing, we're gonna go do that now. When we come back from the break, we got a Dear Martha. We got some games that we played this week. Whole bunch of stuff to talk about. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Thanks. Put this in your Meatus and smoke.
Yeah, take this. Put this in your Meatus. All right, here we go. We're back, everybody.
5 Meatuses.
You all missed out on an amazing conversation before I hit record again about the Meatus. Go look it up.
3.
Let's get into. Are you counting? You all right? What are you doing there?
I'm counting my Meatus.
Oh.
Beau needs to know the exact number of Meatuses on his body.
It depends if eye holes count, but
I should,
1, 2,
right?
3, 4, 5. Okay, 6, 7, 8,
Nostril.
9.
Do
mouth.
the
9.
ducts in the corner of your eyes count as a Meatus?
Yes, because I put red eye drops in there once, and then I peed red, so it must have gone in. Right?
I'm not sure it's supposed to work that way.
What?
And I tasted
maybe.
it. That's the other thing. These were eye drops that were prescribed,
You
but
tasted the pee or the eye drop?
no, the eye drops. So I put it in my eye, and then immediately could taste this medicine in my throat. So I don't know if it's
you missed your tear duct then. It just slid down your face. And
Well,
Drank it and then peed blood.
I'm pretty sure someone else will tell. You know, if I don't know if Dr. Tolbert's in here. He's in the middle of a hurricane, so maybe not. But
oh no.
yeah, I mean he's doing okay. I think he just doesn't have power or internet for a while. But he was right in the center of all that stuff.
Anyone heard
Anyway.
from Garrett, by the way? Because I saw
Yes,
Garrett was
he's
streaming.
doing good. No power, no.
All right. He went
cell
full
service.
Florida man and was streaming, and I caught it for a little bit, and it's like, here's where the tornado's going. Here's where I live. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you streaming? It's literally going over your house. What the hell?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was talking to him and Kyle. They were both going to stay. Kyle ended up leaving. Garrett stayed and streamed through it for a while.
Yeah.
But both Kyle and Garrett have checked in and said, things are okay. Things are good.
Yeah, I texted him and just said, "How's it going?" He says, "Just lost power. Internet's next. Other than that, so far so good." And then I said something weak and dumb like, "Well, be careful. This thing's a beast." As if he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
He doesn't know. I just called them heroes of the storm. That's
Oh,
what
I like
said to
that.
them.
I like that.
Hope you don't die. Like, what are you gonna say?
You should have hummed the music as you said it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
I'm glad they're here. They're okay, because that was the last I heard from Garrett, and I was like, I hope that's not the last time. That'd be real sad.
The Florida boys are all right.
All right.
All right, let's get to this
Let's
thing.
get to the Meatus of the show.
The Meatus
Nope,
of the
she's
show,
wrong.
everybody. This is, in particular, this particular piece of Meatus is the Ken Burns themed Dear Martha segment, where you guys give John ideas so he can do a little improv, and we're going to do that right now with this message from an anonymous texter. I don't have their name. Anonymous. He says, "Does Martha's husband have a HUD where he can see, where he is on the front lines? What do the other soldiers say when he says stuff about his health or ammo and his gun? I would assume that based on the music, the visual seems weird," says this anonymous texter. So he wants to know if there's like these HUD elements, how do you track your ammo at the front, that sort of thing. It's a little more complicated this week. You asked for it. You wanted one that was
I did say step it up, and this is stepping it up for sure. I thought they were going to get weird, not just very obscure, but we'll see what we can can pull out of this one. I
More
guess
about the mundanity of Civil War, right?
That's
I
right.
might have to get creative with how I answer this one.
Well,
is there a HUD you hate that we can shit on?
There's a HUD I want to talk about. There's always a HUD. You talk about a HUD I want to talk about, I'll come up with it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what HUD we mean. And you don't mean
to see your HUD.
You don't mean Habitat for Humanity. You mean like an actual heads-up display, is what you were talking about.
Yeah, heads-up display.
Well, here you go. Then.
Or in this case, okay, we'll
give
Dear Martha.
We'll give it a shot. Here we go.
A mud HUD.
My dearest Martha, there are many things that are a mystery when it comes to warfare. How does one keep track of your stamina, your health, your ammo? You're going to look pretty silly if you're shooting your gun and all of a sudden you hear the clicky clicky and nothing's shooting anymore. So let me tell you about a revolutionary invention that came from a wonderful video game called Jurassic Park Trespasser. Martha, have you ever considered looking at your breasts to find out what your health is? Well, this game is ahead of its time because they thought of it. Are you at full health? Just look down. Check out your boobs. You got that heart tattoo for a reason, and that's to tell you how much health you have. It's a brilliant invention. Who knew that tattoos could tell us so much about our own body? Like, oh, I've gotten bit by a dinosaur. I should seek medical aid. Why? My boobs told me so. And while this may seem silly, I just want to encourage everybody out there to go look it up yourself. This is an actual HUD from an actual video game. There's literally no joke this time. I'm just telling you, this video game used boobs to tell you what your health was. Go research it and have fun. Yours in this life and the next. FYI, guy, 37.
Nice. So I'm looking at some footage of this. Was this This is old, isn't it? This game.
This is a whole game, and it is rough. It deals with a lot of physics. And yeah, they didn't want a HUD.
Oh, there's the boob. There's the boob.
So yes, if you want to know what your health is, you have to look down at your chest, and you have a little heart tattoo, and it tells you what your health is at. Because immersion, everybody.
Yeah.
Immersion.
This almost looks like bad VR, the way she's flopping her arm around trying to grab something. And
oh yeah, the physics were real rough. So you'd pick up a box, and your wrist would just slowly like rotate off of your body.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
This is jacked.
That is not how you hold a gun.
No, I don't remember this game at all. The way she's holding that rifle, you're like this. It's a two-handed weapon. First of all, she's one hand in it, and she's just holding it out like that. Amazing.
They shipped that. That must have been a real Hail Mary, right? It's just like
the hairiest of Hail Marys. Yeah, that looks bad. I played some
Harry Mary.
I played some bad Jurassic Park games, but that looks like maybe the worst, and I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
You should all go check out that game.
Yeah.
It's I never owned it, but I did play a demo of it, and it stuck with me my entire life.
1988 is when that came out. 98, sorry.
Did it? I was gonna say what?
98.
I was not 4 years old.
I don't even
played
think
that
the
game.
Jurassic Park book existed in 88. So
No.
yeah, that was later.
I remember reading
no,
it when
no.
it first came out, though, but I got indignant about it because I went to the bookstore after I saw the movie, and I was like, I want to get the Jurassic Park novel, and I went to buy it, and the bookseller said, "Oh, you don't want this one." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "You want the young adults novelization?" And I said, "No, I don't. I want the real book."
Yeah.
And my grandma was with me, and she's like, "Well, he says this isn't the right one." I said, "This is the right one. I want the real book.
Yeah.
I want to read actual Jurassic Park."
Yeah,
And
you're
he
not a
didn't
dumb
believe
kid.
that a kid that young wanted to read Michael Crichton novels. I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, you, sir, are incorrect."
Yeah.
Was it the movie adaptation or just a version of the book?
It was just you know how they take a book after the movie comes out and they change the cover to look like the movie cover.
Oh,
Yeah, it was just that's all they did.
so it's the same.
Yeah, it was the same book.
Same manuscript.
But he thought I wanted the kid version. Like, you know how they adapt a movie into a novelization.
And
He-
when
he
you're a
thought
kid,
I
you want
wanted
the
that.
grown-up stuff as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. All right.
I went
got
from not being able to read at all to being a very good reader in a year. And so I was reading a lot of adult books that people were like, "You shouldn't be reading that." It's like, "This is what I read."
It's like Silence of the Lambs, the book edition, that kind of thing.
I loved Silence of the Lambs.
It's a really
And
good
I
book.
loved Red Dragon. I was actually really disappointed in the movie because I liked the book
The
so
book
much.
is great.
Red
I think the
Dragon.
movie's okay. It's a sequel to that, or it's part of the same series, part of the Hannibal
Red
Lecter series.
Dragon made me like that's the first time I read a book that felt like it had a jump scare in it. Like there was a point in that where I was like, "Ah!" I was reading the book. It was a wild feeling.
Yeah, it's good. I'd read it again. All right, well, let's get into what we played this week.
Try this level now.
All right, look at this, guys. We played games, and we're going to start with what we played jointly. There's a few things that we've been talking about for weeks, like World of Warcraft. We're not going to get too into here, but we are going to talk about Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred. They had a 5-hour delay. So
were you trying to get in?
I did, and then I was like, well, I guess I will go do some other things, and I wasn't sure how long it would be, and then I never did that night, so it wasn't till the next day, and it was fine when I got in.
Same.
So,
As soon as they heard about the delay, I'm like, well, time to sleep.
yeah, some people lost their
Right,
minds,
like,
but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not sitting around waiting for hours for the game to start.
No. Apparently, it was some kind of launch problem that had nothing to do with the game. It's something to do with server something readiness.
I mean,
don't know what
I'm
the
not
deal
a
is.
big fan of Monday launches. I don't know why they thought Monday was the day to go live.
Well, they're usually Tuesdays or Fridays, right? That's usually your launch days, traditionally speaking.
Yeah. Just something about Monday. It's like
Yeah.
wasn't super energetic to begin with. But
It's a little weird. I agree. But anyway, it did come out finally, and I've been playing quite a bit. Not a ton, but enough to speak to it. I'm at level 35 now. I was 32 when I wrote this, and I dig the story a lot. It feels good so far. I'm not at the end. I haven't beaten it. I've done some side stuff, so I've gotten a little sidetracked. This just feels more polished, more smooth. Maybe it's because I have a 4080 this year and I didn't when I played last year's.
Man, you
but-
gotta stop talking about the 4080. The jealousy.
I know it's hard.
Real.
It's palpable. But I cranked this thing up to all the maximums, including all the possible ray trace options, all that stuff, and it is pretty amazing. It's very pretty. The ray tracing stuff they added alone, the DLSS capabilities and all that, really go a long way to make this game look like something. It's really pretty. Anyway, I like the new class a lot, Spiritborn. Playing that pretty exclusively. It's basically if Nazebo and Carl Jim had a baby, this is the baby.
Yeah, it is the Witch Doctor Monk. Although I say it feels more monk to me than Witch Doctor.
The moment-to-moment combat, very, very monkey for sure.
The abilities are pretty similar. Like a lot of the basic skills are every third hit, which was a monk feature. Cyclone Strike is back, except it has that 15-second cooldown. Why Blizzard? Why?
Yeah, that's weird.
There's dashes. Have you been doing the evade thing? Apparently, I'm doing the evade thing. I'm also around level 30s now, and I don't have to press any of my buttons. I just press the space bar. I have 4 charges because there's a perk that gives you extra charges.
Right.
And I have one weapon affix that launches feathers.
Yeah,
I
love that
dash, and it just destroys everything. I don't need to press any other buttons.
Yeah, it tears people up pretty good. I have that too. It feels OP, like maybe they're going to patch that or something.
Yeah, it feels like they're going to patch that because like I go into a dungeon, I'm like just dodge, 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 dodge. The only time I hit somebody is if it's like an elite pack and I call down my big bird.
Yeah.
And Cyclone Strike them in.
Yep.
And then it's to recharge the charges, which you do on auto attacks. So
yeah,
it's fun though.
Yeah, it is fun. It's a fun class. It does all the. I'm really into the pestilence and the blowing. Lots of AOE stuff. Like I picked the big gorilla for the AOE ultimate. I love that gorilla.
I haven't tried that one yet.
Oh, I love him so much. He's so great, Beau, and his cooldown's only like 40 something seconds, and I have some stuff that shorten that.
Yeah, I think all the ultimates they used to be like a minute to 2 minutes, and they brought them for all the classes down.
I'm really glad to hear that. I didn't know if that was across the game thing, but it feels great to have it more often. And this monkey, I'm telling you, it's not just, hey, we should make Winston. It's not like that. It's like this big spirit gorilla that falls out of the sky, creates a giant crater, and then just goes apeshit, literally, and kills everything in this circle for a good while. And it's so satisfying. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love the monkey. I don't know if I can ever do anything else than the monkey because he's so good. Anyway, lots of polish on all that stuff. Questline seems to be really good. I'll tell you this, what I love the most about it maybe is the return of mercenaries, not just because they're coming back and you can have a partner and stuff. It's that they put a bunch of stuff around it. So for me to get these mercenaries, I have to do some really cool story shit to unlock them. And I've only done 2 of them. There's like 4, I think, to choose from. And I've gotten the big guy with a missing arm, and he's a kind of integral part of your story. Or with a missing arm. Did I say missing or big arm? Big missing arm. Anyway, he becomes like your tanker guy. But then I went on the rogue mercenary quest. It's just a separate quest line, and it was long and interesting. And the VO on that guy is so good. I just want to be with him all the time. There's something about that that really got me, dude. It's so cool. So I don't know if you've unlocked any of those yet, but I'm
playing the base game because I'm playing softcore. I think we talked about this. I'm playing softcore mode because I don't have any nodes. Like I've got nothing unlocked, so I've got like no benefits. And I was like, well, whatever. Now's as good a time as any, and I'm not in a rush to get through it. So I'm playing Spiritborn, but I'm playing the main campaign right now and doing all
You
that stuff.
totally Elden Ringed this. So Beau, I forgot about this. Beau the other day said, yeah, I did that. And I went, oh my gosh, he did like he did with Elden Ring. And I was worried about you because I thought, well, you're just going to get sick of playing the same. This is like your 3rd run through the base game, base story, right?
Well, I mean, I've done a lot. Well, I do a lot of adventure mode because mostly when you play the game after you beat it once, it's just adventure mode from level 1.
Oh,
so no,
fair.
it's only my like 2nd playthrough.
Okay.
But like it goes fast. It's Diablo. Like I'm already level 30. It's not. This isn't the Elden Ring campaign. This, like there's a lot of ground to cover to get all the statues of Lilith and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm just enjoying being back, and I have a new class to play with. And even if I get sick of it, I can always start the campaign. I guess as some of the classes I haven't played. I still didn't really dig into the Druid or Necro. or sorcerer yet. I played mostly rogues and barbarians, so there's stuff to do in there. I'm enjoying it, but we'll see.
It's really, really good so far. I feel the tightness of the leveling is way better. Found out, I guess it seems obvious, but I didn't know it at the time. But if you hit 100 before this, and you're playing those characters still, all of those extra levels get converted into their new Paragon system.
Oh, right. That's kind of how it worked, anyways. You kind of stopped leveling perks at 60, and then you just got 4 Paragon points per level after. So it's really just a visual change, probably, for the most part.
Do you think it's a little bit weird that there's a big giant statue on Blizzard campus I got to stand right next to and see your name on there, and it's all these people that got to 100, the first 1,000 people or whatever, and now there is no 100. It's a little weird.
Yeah, I mean, now the statue belongs in the Feats of Strength part of Blizzard campus.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, are they going to pick that thing up and tuck it away where all the hero shit is?
I don't tuck it away. They should put it where people can see it. It's a beautiful statue.
Yeah, it is very nice. Anyway, my take so far, real good. It's just feels like a lot of lessons learned. It does, there's a bit of that feeling anyway of, oh yeah, they really smartened up on a bunch of systems. And is it still a problem that some of the best gear or looking gear is still stuff you got to pay through the nose for? Sure. But I haven't even looked in there really, so I don't even know if that's true. I say that, but I don't know.
I mean, I did look through there, and yes, the best looking stuff so far that I've seen is in there. Like, you can look through, you got Kael'thas showing on the screen right now. You can just be Kael'thas, and it looks cool.
Yep.
I'm sure you can't find that stuff out in the game world. It's kind of ass. But that aside, like, the game's not like unplayable because of this reason. Like, you can still get stuff, and your guy still looks pretty cool, and it's fun to play. So
yep.
And they've revamped the loot system, which was well received. I still haven't played all the systems yet, but I can already see. Like, I love the idea that you don't have to hoard items in your stash anymore, because whatever the highest affix you find now just goes in the codex.
Right.
Like, everything goes in the codex now.
Right.
So you don't have to hoard items that you're not using. You'll always have access to affixes at the highest state you've discovered. So it actually just makes the whole, like, collecting of loot and like not needing things, like, just simpler. You just salvage it. And it's
less grindy. Yeah, less grindy, and you can just go salvage it, get what you need, or sell it, whatever you got to do. I do like that because I don't think it simplifies the game. I think it just streamlines it. It just feels better. Because like getting the journey is already going to take you a lot of time, right? Like, there's that whole tension between like what's realistic versus like, are you playing this for 2 weeks? Mm-hmm.
Then what can you get done in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So if you can get more done in the 2 weeks you're going to give the game, then that's great. So that's sort of how I feel about it.
I think it's cool. I think $39 is a very fair price for an expansion, and the story so far is meaty. I'm not done with it. Like I said, I'm in the 30s. My guess is I'll probably get to 60 by the time the story ends. It feels like it's kind of timed that way. It could be wrong.
Sure. I'm not even at a Kyovashad yet, and or the Fractured Peaks, and I'm level 30.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't been down.
Still in Act 1.
So you haven't been down to all like the voodoo stuff and everything.
My map is like not uncovered. Like, it's a vanilla game.
Oh, because you're starting again, right?
Because hardcore and softcore is like segregated. So like I have it all unlocked in hardcore, but I just don't feel like the stress.
Yeah, I get it.
I just don't feel like the stress. I just kind of want to just play and chill this time around. So
nothing wrong with that. I never do hardcore, so I understand that. Anyway, any other thoughts on this one? All right. Also, just wanted to see where John's at on it. I know you've considered it or thought about it. You don't know if you're coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like from a gameplay perspective, they're in a really good place. I think that was important. I will say this. I was on the fence. I was very on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to be pushed into the buy it category. So I looked at the ending of the video game. I know how this expansion ends.
Oh shit! Let me guess. Can I guess?
And you didn't buy, so what does that say?
I'm gonna guess that it doesn't. That you're gonna say it feels like now you were on to Act 2 or something like that. Act 3 maybe.
Okay, I don't want to ruin this for people because I'm not happy doesn't mean other people aren't happy.
It's going to end in a cliffhanger, and the next expansion's getting canceled.
It's hold on. I just want to say it without a spoiler. There was what I thought this would be.
Yeah.
And it can kind of go two ways, and it feels like half of what I thought it would be.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that means Deckard Cain doesn't show up, and it means Diablo himself probably doesn't show up.
No, I don't mean half of the things. I mean, like, I would call this... So I made the joke last week, like, if you want to play the second act of Diablo 4, get this game.
Yeah.
Depending on where the story goes from here and where this all concludes when we finally wrap up what is Diablo 4, maybe this is Act 2, but from what I've seen, and it's just seen, so do not treat me as an authority on this, this feels like half of Act 2.
Damn. All right. So the vessel...
We got a lot of primevals to go if we're going to see them all.
Yeah.
So I that doesn't make it an automatic no. I mean, to me, I need all the elements to be good for me to want to drink the Diablo soup. And for some people, they just want gameplay. For some people, it's, it means a lot of things to a lot of people. I want it all to be good. And when I sit down to play the game, I want to sit down and feel like I'm playing the full experience. And right now, this doesn't feel like the full experience. So I think I'm going to wait a little while, but I do get the itch. I mean, I looked because I wanted to be convinced to play, because I'm kind of got the itch for playing some Diablo. I think the new class looks great. But I'm not convinced, and there's some other games coming out real soon that I'm going to play instead, and maybe I'll get this on sale down the road sometime. I do think I'll play it.
Okay.
Like, again, I think the new class looks awesome, and as much as I kind of say, it could have been better, I don't mind playing Diablo 4. It's a pretty solid game that they have vastly improved from what was there at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think what push you over, because I haven't gotten to it yet, is like, I know the game now actually has end game, and based on what I have to say about it, you might be like, oh, it sounds like fun, or
Yeah.
taking the campaign experience aside, like it is fun to play just an ARPG, do adventure mode, and like do the end game stuff. So it might. I really don't. I haven't done a lot of like research into it to know exactly what all there is to do. So in the coming weeks, there'll be more information.
Yeah. We'll see.
Me, anyways.
Yeah. So far,
it's out there if you want to find it.
I'm definitely having a better technical experience. There were a lot of launch issues for me in particular, a lot of glitchy polygons and stuff that just seemed like, and they ironed them out over time, but none of that seems to be here in this launch. It seemed to be just worked okay. My Steam Deck's running it beautifully, no issues. That's dangerous because I shouldn't be playing in bed, but here we are, right? So anyway, I almost pulled my mic out. Anyway, check it out. Diablo 4. It's still a threat. Vessel of Hatred. Let's get to another one that John and I played. I think John just barely touched it, but we'll talk about it because I think it's rad.
It's just a little bit.
It's a rad little game called Victory Heat Rally, and I want you guys to know just how Sega this game is by hearing the following sound. So I'm going to play just the intro song. Wait for it. I mean, it's just Sega Genesis through Dreamcast as hell, and it even gets better here with this one. Let's skip ahead a little. Let's get that beep, 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 beep thing you used to do all the time. Anyway, that's the vibe of it. So you already kind of get a taste for what the vibe of Victory Heat Rally is. It's basically a drift-based racing game that's a combination of some 3D elements and 2D stuff, including your car, which is 2D, a little bit like Mario 64, 3D tracks, 2D characters. And you're drifting kind of Mario style, but...
a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the wiggle back and forth to get sparks or anything, but yeah, it's about building up a drift meter and releasing to jet forward, and it's cool. It's fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I don't have a ton to say about this game. It like looks and plays better than I thought it would when I looked at it.
Same,
Like
yeah.
it's actually very tight and very, it feels good. But this game is exactly what it looks like. It's one of those things where it's like, well, what do you want me to say? Go look at the game, think about what it looks like, and it is exactly that. It's like a throwback to those old retro style racers. It plays a little bit like a Mario Kart, but you're driving around in a big car. It's goofy fun. It's got a lot of great pixel art. There's some fun things. If you lap somebody and then bump into them, you will blow their car off the track
Yeah,
and
they
it'll
explode.
just disappear into the distance. It's kind of wonderful.
Yeah.
They try to keep things a little fresh. By you do a bunch of races, but then there's little challenge tracks where it's like, okay, well now you want to hit things. There's some. It doesn't get quite as quirky as Mario Kart.
No.
But there is elements of like, well, now you're driving in water and now you're, doing this.
Yeah.
And it's just fun. Yeah.
I found it very difficult, rampy after the second level. Like the second track, up till then, I was like, yeah, dude, I'm drifting around. This is fine. I can do this. I've done this a million times. And then this one that we're watching right now with the weird water, half sunken water, half not, and all that with no guardrails. I can't get past this damn track. So I'm having a little bit of trouble with it. The person we're watching stream it did just fine compared to me, but
that one was, it was definitely a step up for sure. I got past that, and then I don't know, there's something about the water. There's not a bunch of realistic physics. Like you kind of just bounce off the track and you're just fine. Like water doesn't really slow you down. You hit the water and you just kind of keep going like nothing happened.
Yeah.
It feels, again, kind of very early. It feels like in a different reality. This was the original Mario Kart game.
Mm-hmm.
It's very retro in that regard.
Yeah, lots of little nods to the way we used to do story. Like a little 2D guy will come out and say, it's good to have you on a track this afternoon. Good luck out there. And then he'll disappear. And the guy's 3, 2, 1, go! Like it's like that whole vibe of Daytona and all those games. Yeah. So depending on your appetite for such things, you will probably enjoy it. And I am enjoying it. I like it. I feel like it got too hard too fast, but it's fun little game. I think yours came from Shadow.
Oh yeah, thanks to Shatterproof for he saw that I favorited it and was like, here, I want to hear about it. And I hope I did a good job. I feel like all I said was it is what it looks like, but I genuinely don't know what else to say about this. Like this game is exactly what it looks like. If you look at it and you go, that looks like something I want to play, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what
it's like going to an arcade and you see a racing game and it's exactly, you're not going to get closer to the game or put 2 quarters in it and have a totally different opinion. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's exactly as advertised.
Yeah. And I'm kind of a sucker for drifty games, so I was kind of in when I bought it, but
I do like the drifting. Like that was kind of I will say, actually, you know what? That's a good point. That is the part that was a surprise. Is it doesn't drive like a typical racing style game where it's about, it's quite so focused on the little minutia of it. It's a lot of focus on the drifting.
Yeah, and it gives
despite the fact that you can customize your cars, which I was like, oh wow, they got a lot of customization in here, and then it kind of just worked out to drift.
Yeah. Not a lot of other stuff in the mechanics of the car. However, it's the kind of drift they do in like Mario Kart where a successful drift will give you a turbo boost. And that's key to winning these games is get as many of those as you can and overtake your opponent. That's basically the loop of the game. I played another game that looks pretty retro, also thanks to Shatterproof. our personal I don't know what he is. He's amazing though. We love him. He gave me 2 games this week. One I haven't cracked yet because I'm terrified, but I will. He gave me Silent Hill 2 remake thing.
Oh,
yeah.
I keep looking at it, but then I feel bad because I'm like, well, I promised Scott maybe I'd go in and watch it blind, but I want to buy it so badly.
It's reviewing so well. It's got overwhelmingly positive
and I
reviews.
keep hovering over it, and it's what I really want to play. But then I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to play it or not. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold out on that one. I'm really tempted.
It's crazy how well it's reviewing and how it's to the point where the conspiratorial gamer freaking idiots that exist, they're starting to wonder why it's so positive. So instead of saying, well, here's why this game sucks or it's getting bad reviews, it's because it's got a lady or whatever their bullshit is. But they get around to this idea of like, well, wait a minute, this thing's doing really well. Something must be up.
It's
Someone's
what I said.
paying
Just
somebody.
make a good game and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
None of the stuff that people talk about matters if the game is good.
That's it.
It all matters quite a bit depending on who you are and what you feel if the game is bad.
Yeah.
But once you put out a good game, it doesn't matter quite so much.
So it turns out those people are still reaching, but they got nothing on this one. Seems like they did a really good job.
I want this I want it so bad.
I'm terrified.
You should just play this. It looks like right up your alley.
Yeah.
It is. I watched like 5 minutes of gameplay today from I don't remember who was streaming it. It might have actually been Trixler playing it. I was like, ooh, this looks so good. I want it.
Yeah.
The only thing that's saving my wallet at this point is that game Metaphor does come out tonight, and maybe that'll keep me distracted enough. But
Tonight? Oh, it's a Friday release or a Thursday midnight release. I didn't know that. I'm excited what you say about that. That will entirely paint my desire.
I
to play
pre-ordered it, so that should tell you where my interest landed with that.
Oh,
I pre-ordered it.
You pre-ordered Metaphor.
I did.
Metaphor. What's it called? Metaphor relaxation. What's the last?
Refantasio.
Refantasio. Stupid name.
Yeah, it sounded like Beau made something up. No, that's what it's called.
No,
he got it right.
Yeah.
It really is a terrible name, honestly.
Well, it's anime,
except
but,
it could be
you know.
good in context. Once you play the game, you'll be like, "Oh, I get why they call it that," and it's perfect.
My daughter told me this week. She goes, "Dad, I have a new favorite anime. You'd love it." And I said, "What's it called?" She goes, "You don't want to know the name." I said, "Why?" She goes, "You think it's stupid." And I said, "Give me a chance here. I've heard a lot of dumb names before. Let's hear what you got." She goes, "It's called Dan Da Dan Dan or some shit like that."
Yeah, it's Dan to Dan. Yeah, it looks interesting actually.
Yeah, she loves it, raving
know
about it, but I don't know, man. Can't do that name. Stupid. And I said, "Is there a character called Dan or something?" She's like, "No, that doesn't make any sense why they call it this." So
You'd have to figure out what the connection was, because I was always puzzling over Kill la Kill, and
that's another one. Yeah.
I think it has nothing to do with murder or killing.
Yeah,
it's got to do, I think, something with clothing, like because it's like it's localized over Japanese. It's got something to do with clothing, and it makes a lot of sense because clothing is an important element of that show. It's
you got Doki Doki Literature Club, and the Doki part is supposed to represent the sound of a heartbeat.
Yeah, more like dorky.
Yeah.
More like
so once you understand the context, you're like, oh, okay, it's actually kind of a cool name. So Dan to Dan. Well, it sounds cool. It sounds like a cool name. Why would you hate that name?
I like Dan to Dan.
Well, let me give you just a taste of the intro, and maybe this is why, because it has it in the intro. Let me do this real quick. Now they just say Dan to Dan to Dan to Dan to Dan the whole time, and that's why it's called that.
They're making music. What do you do if you're singing a beat? What do you do?
Not that. I don't go Dan to Dan to Dan to Dan. I don't do that. I go,
okay, sing a beat. Let's hear a beat.
A beat?
So we call the show.
Yeah, just sing a song that's musical that doesn't have lyrics.
I can't think of one.
Sing the Mario theme.
Oh, doot 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 like that.
Okay, so your anime show is called Doot Doot Doot.
And I would hate it as much. It would be terrible.
No, it's great.
Call this thing whatever it's about. She said it was something about shapeshifters and aliens or something. I don't know what it was. But,
yeah, this looks like, I think it's in the vein of Chainsaw Man. Like it's kind of like, creepy demons.
Yeah.
Kill them.
She was very.
At one point, I did see some frames where like the lady character got so scared her clothes blew off. So I don't know.
Great.
I was like, that's a little weird.
So
wait,
typical.
There's a world where if you get scared, your clothes blow off.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I be a monster in that world.
That's why I went when John and I played Resident Evil games. I was always half naked because I was always blowing my clothes off.
Just flying off.
There goes my pants.
But
there goes my shirt.
The artwork. I mean, the art looks like it's so well drawn and styled.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really nice. The intro is really cool too. I'll give him that. But this is a Dan.
I mean, they're all like that, and like some of them are worse than others. I don't love them all. Metaphor Refantasio is really trying my patience.
It's really weird.
I don't mind the metaphor. It's the Refantasio. It's like, what are we in Italy?
The
like,
only part about the
Refantasio.
title I don't like is the re in front of Fantasio, because it makes me feel like they're writing me an email regarding Fantasio.
Right,
exactly. I get it.
Yeah.
RE::Fantasio.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's the only part I don't like. I'm like, I don't know Fantasio, so I don't know why we're talking about him more.
It also sounds like to re-Fantasio something, it would have to be Fantasioed a first time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think I know where the title is coming from because, like I said, in the demo, they kind of focus a lot on this nature. Like, at first, they're talking to you, the player, and about how you live in a city and like fantasy stories for you are about, magic and swords and stuff like that. But then they're in a fantasy setting and they're talking about, hey, what if you lived in a world where, you didn't have to fight for your life. You didn't have to know magic. You could live in a giant glass building and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's their fantasy. So I have a feeling there's some weird connection about like, I think the metaphor is pretty on the nose. Like it's a metaphor for something. And then like they are exploring the elements of what makes fantasy to different people. So I am not 100% done with my thesis, but I'm beginning to assemble elements. Is what I'm saying.
Well, let you tell your Italian friend Fantasio that we wish him well.
It's a me.
It's a me, Fantasio. All right, so we played those things. This game I got to talk about. So, and I lost my place on it. There it is. Sorry, I didn't know the audio was on. This is a game called Pinball Spire. This was sent to me by Shatterproof, and I'd never heard of it. I usually have my eyeball on stuff like this, so this one came as a surprise to me. I like pinball games that are like an adventure along with being pinball, like pinball-based mechanics type adventure games. An example of this,
slapping balls, but you want a little story to go.
I want a story, not even story so much as just like progression. Like using
this is a Metroidvania pinball game, right? So
yeah, that's what people are saying about it, and I think I agree with that because there's save rooms. Getting to a new level requires a bunch of stuff, and once you do, it unlocks. You can go to a new place, and you can go to old places too, so you can backtrack. And you do it in this kind of cool pixelated world. But games like, when I think of this, I think of like Pokemon Pinball and the GBA. I love that freaking game. That's the one
I always think of, where it's about catching Pokemon more than playing pinball.
Exactly, and the pinball's good. And the ball physics are good. It's just that your goal is also to do another thing, not just get a high score. Because pinball with just high scores, I don't. It's not my thing. I don't care. But as a mechanic way to do other things, I'm kind of a fan. So that's what this is, and it's very good. I got way wrapped up into this the other night. Played forever, and I didn't think I was gonna. I thought I would just.
I didn't know it had other levels. I saw just a screenshot in passing, and I was like, okay, pinball game.
Tons of variety, different levels you're trying to break into. And sometimes it's hard to get there, like little tiny hole. I got to hit the thing just right. Like they really test your pinball playing skills. The only complaint I have about this, and otherwise I'm very glowing on this. My only complaint is the ball is slow, too slow, and I get it. Like. It's not supposed to be real.
An upgrade? Like, is there upgrades where you can make it go fast?
There are things that you can unlock and do that will change things, but they're mostly cosmetic. Like your guy has a hat and sunglasses on now, or something like that.
What I'm saying is, like an early Diablo, your guy, once you're used to playing max level and you start a new character, he walks so slow and punches so slow. But by the time that you're getting to later game, you're going to have like upgrades. So
you definitely get upgrades, but none of them so far have been speed based. It's all been like we just saw this dude do. You can slow down time and kind of aim one shot, and then you
that's cool.
Yeah, and you have a mana bar. See this little mana bar off to the left that you can always refill with little mana balls that you unlock. That's how you use those abilities, and you can unlock new abilities as you go. And maybe there's a speed one I just haven't gotten to, and there's nothing in the options to increase the speed. You can reduce shake and things like that. But
what I hate the most just about pinball and why it's always hard to play for me is the Meatus.
The Meatus of pinball, yeah.
The Meatus holes on either side where like the ball just goes down there. I'm like, well, this sucks. I couldn't do anything about that.
Yeah,
or just the
had
middle.
To watch it. You just had to watch it happen.
Yeah,
and watching it, I'm like, I see they have defensors. Like, usually it goes down once and you get a protection, but then it opens up.
Yeah,
and then it's just like, well, if the ball goes down there, there's nothing you can do. Chance dictates that you lose the game now, and I always hate those. Yeah. I wonder do they do anything with those
they
holes?
Do. Like they have stuff that will block those Meatus holes. Meatus holes get blocked by things that you unlock, and they will regenerate and come back and that kind of thing. Like right now, this guy playing, you can see there's a little eyeball between your two paddles. That will keep you from losing in the center for a while. If you hit it, though, it's going to take a while to regenerate. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't gotten all the unlocks yet, but there's supposed to be a ton. and it's got everything I want out of something like this is here.
There's an XP bar. It's like Vampire Survivors.
The only beef I have about it is the ball physics are just floaty, and I don't mind floaty if it's not slow floaty, and
It's just slow. It's not like action pack. Pinball is fun when you're trying to track the ball, right? So you want it to go fast.
Yeah, a little faster. It doesn't even have to be that much. It's like it just give me an option in the thing to say.
But I'm watching it here. I see it's more like a pink pachinko machine than pinball sometimes, where it's just like tink, 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 tink,
a little bit, yeah. And
there's the point of bumpers in a lot of those is to like really pound the ball.
Yeah, and there might you're pounding your ball, but there might be
that hurts.
There might be an argument for later in the game there being abilities that rely on the floatiness, because there are some pretty crazy levels I've gotten to that are just they're kind of insane, and not just traditional pinball. You start out pretty traditional. But anyway,
I was wondering, maybe it's just because you're like still weak and you're gonna power up. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that guy must be frustrated. What just happened to him sucks. I've had that happen to me. Anyway, it's a cool game. It's pretty rad, and I like it. I'm going to be okay with the speed because I think it makes up for it in lots of other ways. If they added a way to increase it, I would be very happy. I think it would just make for snappier play sessions. So, anyway, this game is called Pinball Spire. Available now wherever you get your Steam games.
What do you think Blizzard would do with pinball? You know, they take a genre and perfect it. And I've always found video game pinball like vaguely unsatisfying. Just because like the paddles don't have to be there anymore. Like we could do lots of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just wonder if somebody could take pinball and like just
really blow the lid off it.
Really blow the lid off video game pinball. Like in a crazy way.
Well,
I'd love to see how they could evolve it, but I will also say. Free money to Blizzard that if they made a really cool pinball game where it was a bunch of tables branded on their stuff, I would absolutely play that game.
Yeah, like StarCraft, Starball.
Oh, shit.
Yes. You must construct additional pylons.
Yeah. And you could put it anywhere. This could be on mobile. This could be on desktop. It could be on consoles. This is a great idea. Why don't they do that? They know progression like nobody's business. Make a game that gives you a ton of progression and unlocks, and now it's the Diablo table, and you got to fight Meatus.
Yeah. Blizzard Meatus. I mean, Blizzard Pinball would be really great.
Blizzard Meatus.
Yeah, you could go through their entire life, like rock and roll pinball. Rock and roll racing pinball. Then you go to Warcraft 2, Warcraft.
Yeah, but this is
3.
a company that couldn't. That had to cancel a Star Wars-based RTS. We didn't even talk about that stuff. There's some spoilers in that book about
They could release new tables as like extra DLC for their special editions to actually make it worth it. Like War Within comes out and you get the War Within, you get the spider table or something like that.
Oh, I would love that, dude.
They could do a video game announcement via, hey, there's a new table coming out, and then the table unlocks and lights up, and then you know what game they're working on next.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You get a little preview of what the game's going to be because you got a pinball table tied to it.
Just make it a small crack team. Again, this is just vibing off of stuff from the book because every time 5 developers go off to make something new, even though Hearthstone and Overwatch proves that small teams can do really big things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the money people over there were like, just put 1,000 people on it. So why are these 5 people working on a side game? Get them to work on World of Warcraft.
Lame.
And it's like, so lame. And I'm like, you could just get a handful of people who really like pinball and just like make Blizzard pinball. Like it'd be.
I mean, I would play this.
Because they have a reputation for taking this stuff and acing it and looking at this game. And like, they're definitely like, there's a solar system that you got to play pinball in. I'm like, imagine the Blizzard polish on something like this.
What makes a pinball table good? Good music.
Yeah.
Good art.
Yeah.
Good audio design.
Good physics.
Like if you got that, you have tables people are in, and those are the 3 things that Blizzard to this day are still the best at.
Yeah. That's a good
And
point.
you can put progression in pinball as it's shown here. So, you could get Paragon points or something like who knows. There's a world of possibility with pinball. I've thought about it a little bit because I've done some design documents for a pinball game, like just on my own.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Yeah, but like not nothing to fruition. Just you have some ideas when you're showering or something. You go open a Word document, and write down the ideas, and I'm like, there's like an RPG pinball that you could make that it's still
Oh yeah.
somewhere in my brain, but getting from imagination to production is like obviously still.
There are a
work
bunch of
and
it. There are a bunch of
iteration
attempts
stuff.
at that out there, and I've tried a lot of them. This one comes pretty
Yeah.
close to getting a lot of that stuff right. I just wish it was faster. But see, even this level right here, the whole goal is to fly your ball through that sun. Those little diorama of a sun and 2 planets. You fire it through that sun, which sets it on fire, and then you burn those clouds. And then once all the clouds are burned, it unlocks the next zone you want to try to get into.
All right, so you got like a pinball. It's like pinball puzzle challenge, kind of looks like.
Kind of, yeah. There's a lot of puzzles and all that sort of stuff. It's a neat little game. I like it. And Blizzard also take our advice. All right, that is about it for me. I played some more of a few things. World of Warcraft, of course, ongoing. I'm going to talk more about that with Beau because I want to talk about the Ding Desert he has run into. Because I think I might have as well. But we're going to talk about that. And also I played more Crime Scene Cleaner. That game's rad. And Cat's Quest 3 on my Steam Deck has been delightful. But that's stuff I talked about last week. So let's fire over to John and talk about Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero, which this, by the way, came from
Sparking.
this. Oh,
Just
Sparking. Here's what he said, or here's what I pulled from that video.
Okay, let's do this thing.
All right, Goku. Goku is hot to trot.
He's
dude.
ready.
Yeah, he's ready to roll. Tell us about
it. It is weird hearing the English voices, though. I've become a bit of a Dragon Ball snob since I watched Dragon Ball Super and had to watch it dubbed.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of fell in love with the Japanese voices for everybody. So now whenever I hear the English ones, I'm like, well, it's vaguely familiar, but wrong. Yeah, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero came out. And it is the continuation for what we know as the Dragon Ball Budokai Tenkaichi series. But in Japan, it was called Dragon Ball Sparking. That's its Japanese name.
Okay.
So we are now kind of doing what we did with Like a Dragon and Yakuza. We are now trying to get parity with the names between us and Japan. So it is going back to kind of the 3D arena fighting style. These kind of get looked at as fighting games because they got health meters, they got fighting moves, stuff like that. But they really don't play like a fighting game. Like that Dragon Ball Fighter Z game that came out, that was a fighting game. Mm-hmm. And Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is something completely different. It's a weird oddity. But it's very, very cool. And so the idea behind this is, you've got a lot of freedom of movement. You can fly all around. You can ascend, descend. You fight underwater, in the air, on the ground. And this game doesn't care so much about balance as it does putting in an insane amount of fighters and kind of staying true to the fighters. So in other words, if you are playing Goku as at his Ultra Instinct level, that is one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful character in the game. And they aren't balancing really around the concept of like he needs to feel tougher than regular Goku from the start of the series.
Okay.
Like he should feel better because he is better. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But the way they get around that to kind of create even fights is so if you're not doing the story mode, which I'll talk about the story mode in a second, the way you do it is you fill out a roster of characters. So you pick a team, and you have a certain amount of points to use to build your team with. And depending on the power level of the characters, they cost more points to put on your team. So you can take Ultra Instinct Goku, and he's one of the most powerful fighters in the game, but he uses a lot of points to put him on your team.
Okay.
And there's a couple neat ways that you can kind of get around that. You can put on a Goku from Dragon Ball Super, and he can transform into that if he powers up enough, but you aren't able to do it right away. So he costs less points, but he has the capability to get to that power level. Or you can take a whole bunch and take more characters that are of a weaker power level. So, you can take Krillin and Yamcha and, fill out your roster with a bunch of losers. I like Krillin, sorry, but I didn't mean to call you a loser.
Who's
so
Krillin? Could just tell me.
He's the bald guy.
Oh, okay,
with
okay.
the dots on
But
his
the
head.
dots, the little rivets on his head or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's a really cool way to balance it while still adhering to the idea that if you're playing a character that's supposed to be able to, destroy a planet with the flick of their finger, like they need to feel that way when they're fighting a regular ass dude.
Yeah.
I think they should feel more powerful and stronger. So that's kind of how they balance that out. That being said, I mean, if you're really good at the game, even on a weaker character, you will trounce somebody playing a stronger character. It's not like it's impossible or anything. The story mode is interesting. It does some things I really like. It does some things I don't like. So everybody who has played a Dragon Ball Z game regularly kind of knows the story of Dragon Ball Z, even if you haven't watched the show, because they always tell the same story over and over again. So what this does is it has some interesting ideas where it will show a branching path where if you meet certain conditions or fail to meet certain conditions, the story changes and goes a different road as you play these characters. So like at the beginning you pick, like Goku, and you're going to play key battles in Goku's life. You're going to skip over the times he wasn't involved and you're just going to play his battles. But let's say there's a fight he loses canonically and you win it.
Yeah.
Well, now the storyline is going to veer off and you might have different fights that he didn't participate in that tell a different story. And that's kind of a neat concept because, again, most of these sagas that you go through are very well known to fans, and we don't necessarily need to see it for the 700th time. The downside to this is that they have opted to tell the story in a kind of hit and miss way. A lot of the story is done with still images of the 3D models from the game and dead silent text that you just read about what's happening.
No, I don't love that.
And it almost feels broken. It's not all the time. Sometimes it's animated. Sometimes it's fully animated. Sometimes it's voiced. Sometimes it's mixtures between. Sometimes it'll be like, well, it was voiced, but it was still. Or it wasn't voiced, but it was moving a little bit.
They do this
It's
on
really-
some of the Yakuza games do this, and I don't love that.
Yeah, it's a bit jarring, and it jumps through time very, very quickly. Like, it glosses over in huge sections of story. If you were going into this not knowing the story of Dragon Ball Z, this does absolutely nothing to tell you what that story is. For most people, that doesn't matter. But even like as a fan, I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, some of the stuff is cool, but you're just presenting it in a really weird way. Like some of it's just bizarre when it's just like, all of a sudden it cuts and it's like, so the Saiyans destroyed a city and they killed all of Goku's friends and then he showed up, but there's no dialogue, there's no music in the background. It's jarring to a degree where there's a couple times where I was like, did the game break? What happened here? So I don't love that, but again, it's a criticism on an area of the game that is such. It's been explored in a lot of video games that it sucks, but it doesn't feel necessary at the same time.
Gotcha. So is it the actual gameplay? I mean, this seems chaotic as hell, but I assume there's some method to the madness here. It seems like the enemies have about 5 blocks of health that you have to knock down.
Yeah, and that varies depending on the enemy. Weaker enemies are going to have fewer, stronger enemies will have more. The story will mess with that sometimes. If somebody's supposed to be canonically hurt, you'll have fewer blocks than somebody that wasn't,
Okay. And is there what was I gonna say? I forgot now what I was gonna say. I remember these games or games like it on like the Wii. And like,
yeah, it's a PS2 era was when a lot of this stuff was really kicking off. I think it did kind of go into, there probably was a few on the Wii. There was also a series, so there's Budokai Tenkaichi, and then there's also a Budokai series that Atari did. They are not the same, but as a result, like very similar, well-worn territory. But it's cool, and the roster is absolutely insanely huge. I don't remember what they said the base roster is, but I did see expectations of with DLC and what's coming that it's going to be over 200 characters.
Oh my god, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It's
like,
insane.
Those story things, do they change per character?
So not every character has a story. I think there's 8 perspectives that they tell the story from. So I think we'll see if I can figure out which ones they are. I think you got the obvious ones. You got Goku, Vegeta, Gohan. You've got Piccolo, Future Trunks,
Future Trunks.
Future Trunks. You don't forget about Future Trunks,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm gonna never
Skin in
forget.
Fortnite.
Never
okay.
forget.
Funny name.
Goku Black. He's one of them.
Yeah. Cell.
I don't
Who's
remember.
This-
Yeah, I'm missing the other two.
Who's the
I don't
giant?
remember.
Who's the giant monkey?
From what I've seen, chat's
Yeah.
asking. From what I've seen, no Mr. Satan story. I'm,
What the
I'm
hell?
sure he's in there.
There's a guy called Mr. Satan.
Yeah, there's a guy named Mr. Satan. He's great. He's one of the best characters in.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like that name's great, but also I'd never heard of Mr. Satan.
No.
I didn't
He
know.
is Earth's champion in the Dragon Ball Z series. He gets credit for killing a lot of the things that the actual heroes kill. He's basically like Hulk Hogan meets Macho Man Randy Savage meets Jean-Claude Van Damme and is actually considered, even though he isn't the greatest martial artist in the world.
So
And
that's
he
what.
continues to
yeah.
fail into success.
This is what I was going to ask, and I forgot about. Is the Venn diagram of wrestling fans and DBZ fans? That's a circle, right? Those guys are all.
I don't think it's exactly a circle, but it definitely has to be high. He has a championship belt he runs around. I think if you like Mr. Satan and like wrestling, I think that's a circle for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
I think if he's not your favorite character, you probably don't like wrestling.
Well, I'm a little indifferent on wrestling. I kind of enjoy it, but I'm not like super fan or anything. The Dragon Ball Z I have almost zero knowledge of, so any of this, like me poking fun at it, is based on pure surface stuff. And so the only worry I would have is that if you come into this game as a newbie, all of these montaged battles, right? Because that's kind of how they're presented. It's not.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh, remember this, and now you go fight it and do it again.
Like for the fans, kind of.
Yeah, well, I
I
feel
think
like
this
Makes
is a
sense.
game for fans or at least people that are familiar with it. I don't know. I think it's fun, but it looks cool and it's very flashy. I think one of my favorite things about the graphics with this is I remember when the games used to come out, the big metric was it looks like the show. You know, oh my gosh, it looks like I'm watching the cartoon. It's exactly like that.
Right.
I think what's neat about this game is it feels like it's kind of transcended beyond that, where it's like, yeah, it looks like it's an evolved version of the show. It looks like its own art style take on the show. And I really like that. Not like it couldn't capture what the show looks like, but it decided to do something extra with it. And I really appreciate that it's kind of got its own style.
yeah. Without breaking
so-
its style either, right? Like it's obviously. I look at it and I go, "Oh, Dragon Ball." Like
yeah, it's
immediately.
got Toriyama's designs all over it. You know, if you've played the previous games, it's got all the characters. The ones that are the big losses, if you're an original Dragon Ball fan, a lot of the characters from original Dragon Ball are no longer in the game. A lot of the characters from Dragon Ball Super are here instead, which makes sense. That's I think the last time one of these games came out, Dragon Ball Super hadn't even been made. So there is a lot of unexplored territory. In fact, one of the focus characters is Jiren, which is a character from Super. So I think it's a game for the fans, but I don't know. I would be curious what, like you who doesn't know much about Dragon Ball Z would think about something like this. Like, would you find fun in it? Because I think it's fun to get in there and shoot big, beam attacks at each other and teleport all around punching. But I also that's why I like the show, because it's
right. This
it's
fighting
empty calories of anime watching. Like there is, you do not have to be a hard thinker for Dragon Ball Z. It's just fun. It's just comfort anime.
I get that. Like the big canyon scene where they're both 300 feet in the air and they're blasting each other into rocks and there's huge, that's cool. I get why that's cool. I get why people are into that. So maybe I would enjoy it on that level. I don't know. I'm always asking for, fights and robots and ninjas and stuff. And here it is right here.
Yeah, it's all in there. You got, I think I saw a video where they said they counted. I think there are 18 Gokus in this.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of That's
so
all the Gokus.
You've got a lot of Gokus to choose from, and I don't know if that includes characters like Goku Black, who is technically not Goku but looks like Goku. So I don't know if he's part of your 18 Gokus or if he's separate, but it's got a lot of Gokus, and that's a good metric by which to judge something.
Yeah.
How many Gokus?
Yeah, it's like having more Marios. because he's your guy. He's your noticeable guy, recognizable guy. All right. Well, you can get that on console, PC, all that stuff. It's Dragon Ball Sparking 0.
Yeah. If you like Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super or any of those, I highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Nice.
Having a great time with it.
How did your Mega Man X4 journey go? Are you done now with the series? Have you beaten them all again?
I thought I was. When I wrote this, I was done. But I do think I'm going to make a video about Mega Man X. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I just have a desire to... We've talked a lot about negative things in video gaming this year, because we've had some lows in video gaming. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Yeah, it's a bit of a dip.
But there's been some lows this year in the world of video
for sure.
video gaming.
Yeah.
And I kind of just feel like talking about games I really like. And doing that bonus episode where I talked about Mega Man X and my history with it just made me want to do like a retrospective on video games that were the big milestone games for me.
Sure.
So I've now played through and beaten Mega Man X1, I think 3 times, because I was capturing footage for it.
Yeah.
And I
had to play it 3 times just to get footage.
Well, no, I played it 1 time because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play Mega Man X, and then I played it a 2nd time for an achievement, and then I was like, I might do a video about this. I need to get footage, and then I played it a 3rd time.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I get this the first time? Like, did you learn? As
yeah,
you
I should just
do this?
record
Like,
every time I play a video game now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I was done, and then earlier today I just was trying to kill a little bit of time because it was that window between course start and like just downtime at my computer. I was like, well, I played and beat X4, but I did it as 0. I haven't done it as X. Maybe I'll just play through as him. And I got really into it, and I was like, well, now I think I'm gonna play through Mega Man X4 again. So that might be happening. But yeah, overall, look, I played Mega Man X Legacy Collection 1. I've beaten all those games several times now, and it's been a lot of fun. So I got a lot to talk about. Mega Man X, go check it out if you're interested.
Watch for some content perhaps coming down the pipe from John.
Yeah.
4 more of these UFO 50 games. Let's get into it. I've been enjoying these. So where are we at on that?
We're at 1984 to 1985 for the UFO 50.
Yeah.
And I had to actually write what some of these are because we're starting to get where I don't recognize the names. And I was like, what the hell did I play this week? Okay. First game that I played was a game called Attractix, which is an arcade strategy game where you have an army that auto advances towards an enemy castle, and you have to position your army and line them up, and basically you need to defend and attack at the same time. They will every couple of seconds make a step forward. And when they meet an enemy, they clash, and the goal is to get them to the castle to take out the castle. And it gets very hectic very quick. There's lots of little strategy things you can do, like if you have a column of 3, they become invincible, so they won't take any damage. But obviously, if there's not an enemy in that lane, it will progress, and now it's no longer a column of 3. So that only lasts really for 1 round of attack, unless you're really careful with your positioning and how you move your characters. I thought this was a really cool game, and then by about the 3rd or 4th round, I was completely overwhelmed by what the game was asking me to do. I was like, this is too much. This is breaking my brain. Which turns out was going to be the theme of today's 4 games.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. I'm getting kind of why am I getting a beer tapper vibe? I feel like that's what you have to run at some point.
Kind of feel a little like that. Whoa. Yeah, because you can't move them once they cross that middle line.
Yeah.
You can't move your troops anymore. So they're in a committed position at that point. Before then, you can pull them back and hold them back and put them in whatever position you want. But once they're committed beyond that, and they'll just keep spawning, so will the enemy. So you also have to be aggressive. You can't just play too defensively or you'll never do damage to the enemy keep.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really cool strategy game, but it gets chaotic very, very quickly, especially when you put in, like, well, now there's archers and, different units that are going to act and behave differently than just marching across the screen.
Wild. All right. That did look cool, though.
Would you say a good offendo is the best defendo?
Is the best defendo.
Yes. Offendo is the best defendo.
Yeah.
You don't need to defendo if you offendo too much.
That's right.
Right.
And if you're fighting Meatus, be ready with your defendo. Yeah, go ahead.
The next game I played was a game called Devilition.
Yeah.
And this game I am so bad at, but I think I really love it. It's really bizarre. It's basically this giant grid, and you have villagers, and then a bunch of devils appear. They all look like little pilgrims. A bunch of like generic Satan devils appear on the grid.
Yeah.
It's a
And-
puritanical themed game.
Yeah.
You have to kill enough devils to where the villagers outnumber the devils. I guess they can take out a solid devil themselves, but if they're outnumbered, they lose and you start over. And you do this by getting a bunch of weird random pieces that have areas of attack. So it might be this one attacks all the squares in the grid around it, or this one hits 4 points, in a cross from it.
Mhm.
And you can basically set, I think it's like 15 pieces up, and you detonate a piece, and then it does its move, and it hits the spots it's going to hit, and you have to have another piece in there so that they'll do their hit. It has to be a chain reaction. So you can't just, they all do their attack and you wipe out everything. You have to create a chain reaction to kill as many devils as possible, and your guys have to be hitting your own guys, but not the villagers, in order to take out these devils without going over the piece limit. And you do get refunded some for the next stage, but you don't get a full refund. So you want to be conservative on how many you use, but you just create these chained explosions. The part that I am the worst at is remembering where the pieces are going to hit.
Right, because you lay them down and then.
They're holding up a sign.
Oh, is that what they're? I guess he
They
is.
tell you, but once you place them, you can now no longer see it, and you have to remember where it's going to hit in the chain reaction.
Oh, I see what you mean. But so
So
the guy's
what
got
order they're going in.
right. But that guy's got a cross in his hands, and he made a little cross. This guy, the frog. How's this work?
Well, the frog doesn't have a symbol, so
The
that's
frog hits in like 4 points. That's a space up and down.
Oh,
And a
my-
he has a
space
range
out.
of 2. He hits 2 spaces away in a plus shape.
damn.
Yeah. And you have to aim it at the devils, but you also have to remember where it goes so that you can put another piece there so you can continue the chain reaction.
Because the whole point is chain reacting. If it stops short, you run the risk of losing or killing a villager or something like
And
that.
if you hit the wrong piece early, so like if you created this elaborate chain, but you hit your own character early, he's now out of sequence and you break the sequence that you set everybody up for. It's really cool, but the amount of times I lost because I just went, all right, execute. And 2 guys blew up and then nothing else happened. And I was like, damn it, I missed where I put someone in one wrong spot. I ruined the chain.
I would see it being hard knowing what order everything's going to detonate in and missed timing.
Yeah, you kind of have to build it methodically. You kind of have to go, okay, I'm starting here, or work backwards. But you definitely have to go in with the mindset of like, okay, this is going to be the first guy. Now I'm going to place a second guy. This is how he's going to be detonating off of this. And you get randomized pieces. You can pick from 3, but you don't know what the order of those pieces are going to be. And they all have different effects. So I really liked this game, but I am super bad at it. I don't think I ever made it past the 3rd round.
Who's the pineapple guy with the pitchfork?
Oh, yeah. What's his deal? Right next to this 2-headed snake. What's his deal?
I don't know.
This guy right here.
Is he one of the demons? I don't have the video up.
Oh, okay.
No, I can't see what
the
you're
dancing.
showing.
So the dancing little red dudes, though, I'm in love with them.
Those are those are the devils.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
I love them.
Yeah, they're like
They're
reaching
amazing.
up, like the way they're grabbing. They're like, yeah, we're gonna play down to hell.
Yeah, they're great. What a creative little weird effing game. That's weird.
The next game,
Yeah.
3rd game that I played of my 4 this week is Kick Club. Finally one I could wrap my head around, because this game is Bubble Bobble, but instead of shooting bubbles, you are a kid who has a soccer ball and you kick a soccer ball at enemies and dodge their attacks.
Oh,
It is the enemies literally turn into food and you pick up the food. This is the most like obvious one-to-one that they have done in the collection.
I love Bubble Bobble, dude. I would play this on its own. Look at this. Yeah. This is great. So I reviewed a game not long ago that was a lot like this, but it was a standalone just a game that was this. But yeah, I can tell just from the few minutes I'm looking at this here, a few seconds, this is 100% Bubble Bobble ripoff.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. That's great.
I understood it. The only thing I missed was the amazing Bubble Bobble theme.
Yeah, that song is still.
Can you buy Bubble Bobble? They make a PC release?
I think. Oh yeah, there's Bubble Bobble on PC. I also have the little handheld
Bubble Bobble 4. Oh shit, $51.
Well, for the fourth one, it's like a new one, like 3D and all that. Yeah, but for the classic one, you can pay a lot less. I have the little arcade thing with the cartridge in it. I forget what they call those, but Taito, like a bunch of Taito games. It's the only game I play on it is Bubble Bobble.
Yeah.
The rest of those can F off.
I love Bubble Bobble so much.
Yeah, it's really
and it's
good.
2-player, so you can do co-op just like Bubble Bobble. You can.
Nice.
So that's good. Not a lot to say there because if you've played Bubble Bobble, you know exactly what it is. And then there was Avianos.
Avianos. Because like avian, there's birds in it.
Because there are birds, and there's also dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever walked down a road and you turned and you just realized you were in the wrong place
all the time,
and you just didn't belong where you wound up?
Yeah.
Or like got off an elevator on the wrong floor.
Sure.
And, like just realized I have no business where I am right now.
Sure.
That was my experience with the video game. I started it up and very quickly realized that I was pushing buttons and it was in fact doing something and that I didn't understand and I didn't necessarily want to understand. I spent 0 time with this game. I just very quickly backed away. This game looks like it could be really cool. And I noticed because I was like, what is Scott doing for the YouTube link for this? And it's somebody showing off all the games. This is one of the longest sections in what they showed off is gameplay from this game.
Yeah. It looks like a board game where you're, you got trade materials and there's like wood on this. You know what I'm saying? What's that game? Beau, you'll know it. A tabletop game where you got to have hay and shit and collect tiles rather, and Catan. Settlers of Catan. Maybe that's what's going on here, and that sounds complicated.
Like the hexagonal board or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is once again a grid. We're not to hexagon age of video games yet.
One too many.
It's a
lines.
grid,
Yeah.
but you're like dinosaurs, and you pick like dinosaurs, and you issue commands. And I know they go to war because I looked ahead in the video, and there is a little scene where they all like have battles that play out. It seems very cool. I just very quickly realized that this was not going to be something that I was going to invest the time needed to understand and follow.
Sure.
This seems deep. This seems awesome. I am sure that there is someone out there going, I cannot believe John slept on Avianos. Like, this game is the greatest game in the entire collection. But I was going through playing I was excited because Bubble Bobble showed up. That's where my brain was. And then all of a sudden, Settlers of Catan popped up. And I was like, I'm not ready for this. And I didn't really play it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of like strategy games, which is not like unwelcome, but it seems like if you're in the mood for side-scrolling slashy / it's a different part of your brain.
Yeah, this was the strategy era of the UFO 50 apparently, because there's 3 of them in this little era. But that game continues to be good. Again, we're talking about one game and all 4 of these games are in it.
Is there any deeper mystery that you've uncovered through playing now these new 4 games?
No, because I'm not good enough at any of these games to unlock
As
anything.
I'm wondering why it's called UFO 50. It's just also
I think the
random.
UFO was the name of the system. Like, this would have been like the Nintendo 50 or the Genesis 50.
I get it
I
now.
think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that would make
like,
sense, right? Your NES, your SNES 50, best 50 games on the SNES or whatever. It's like that.
Yeah. So I think that's where it comes from. There's a whole like legacy. You can read about all these games when you select them. Like you can read what was going on with the company, how were the units going, what
There's, like,
made them
fake
create
lore.
these.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
there's fake
Yeah.
lore for all of it.
That's why
Like-
I'm wondering if there isn't like a secret game underneath it all that you have to like figure out all the secrets to get to, and it has like all of a sudden you're playing Silent Hill 2, but it's like they're like we're in your house, like something crazy, like
Yeah.
There's so much content
just wa-
here. This guy's played this for 10 hours if you break down the chapters. And he's just playing a quick round or two of each, and then he's out.
I mean, it's 50
Yeah.
games.
Yeah.
It sounds like. I mean, it sounds like their scope is still small. Like you could probably, I'm guessing, like it's not. We're not talking 50-hour CRPGs per each. Or anything,
John is
but-
so right, though. This section for Avianos or whatever it's called, huge.
It's insanely long compared to everything else in this video.
Yeah,
Like,
the
whoever
only-
made this video feels very differently about Avianos than
Do you
I
think
did.
though that like, because I've seen a few of those compilation videos, and some of them have varying length. That like people spend more time on the ones they like when they're like they try them all, and they're like 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that, and then they glom onto something, and it's like 10 hours of it.
Yeah.
Could
I
be.
mean, that's how it has been with me playing these games. Like, Avianos, I spent maybe a minute playing. Kick Club, I maybe spent 5 minutes playing. Attractix, spent maybe 5 minutes playing.
Yeah.
Devilition, I spent maybe 15 minutes playing. Like, it got a lot more time because I was just like, I was having a lot more fun with it.
Sure.
I do remain a little bit shocked that neither of you have picked this game.
I
up
keep-
yet.
I keep-
Mostly Scott.
Yeah, I thought
is
I
the
would
one
have
I'm-
it. I thought I'd have it by now because I love this crap. I don't know what my problem is. I just haven't pulled the trigger. I probably just
Waiting
needed-
for me to finish this segment. You're like, when John's done, I'll finally buy it.
Sure. The
I
one
mean,
that they
Valbrace
actually,
keeps looking interesting to me.
the longest one on here is actually Night Manor, but that looks like a point and click adventure. You're not there yet. It's way down the
I
line.
think it's Maniac Mansion or maybe
Yeah.
Gate or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
a point and click adventure game? Yeah, that might be. Hey, I played one game for you of a
Yeah.
50
or
this
like
week.
Seventh Guest, like a game like that.
I
yeah.
love those games. Oh, I love Seventh Guest.
I
It's
do
so
too.
good.
Great game.
I have that in VR. I should play it.
Yeah, you should. So that puts us current, at least with this week's 4 games. So check in next
Yep.
week as we continue down that line. I really enjoyed going through these. I'm glad you're doing it. Beau, Planescape, Torment, done.
Yep, done in the can, behind me, finished.
Yeah.
Also, it's just an opportunity to plug the fact that there is a bonus show. My bonus show has gone live now.
On Patreon. 4
How
hours.
long is the bonus shows?
Bonus show is
There,
4
Beau.
hours and 12 minutes.
That's
And people
amazing.
seem to like it, so that's good. I wasn't sure because I don't do scripted stuff. So, we just press record and let it rip. I didn't think I'd go for 4 hours, but I'm also not surprised because,
Yeah.
a lot of that game is, I think, standing on the shoulders of Planescape. So a lot of the content, if you're going to listen to it, it's going to go through my history discovering Planescape. It's going to tell people about Planescape. And I think if you don't know anything about Planescape, you will walk away having a surface level view. Obviously, 4 hours wasn't enough. I could have probably gone on for another 10. But, it has to stop somewhere. My throat, I was done after.
I can't. I did like a
It's
10
different than a
minute one, and I was like, I can't.
It's different than a
Yeah.
podcast where we can all give each other breaks. Like if you get sick of talking, someone will fill your spot. And
Yeah,
we do that
that's
for
the
3
rule.
hours. But when it's just you, the entire 3 hours, oh boy.
Yeah. You're good at it.
Um,
You're good at it though. Thoughtful guy. You know this material. You played the
Yeah,
whole
I
damn
couldn't do
thing.
it for just any game, but this game in particular is the reason I wanted to play it. So I go through the history of our, there's a whole section on There Will Be Dungeons and how that all started, and then there's a section on the Planescape campaign setting, and then finally my very spoilery thoughts. Like if you want to ruin the experience for yourself, listen to this.
Yeah.
But I think people who've played the game years ago might enjoy the nostalgia, the journey back down. And if you haven't played it, you might actually, learn something. There's a lot of videos on it, but I find even on YouTube, there wasn't anything quite the way that I had done it that I've found yet. So, you might walk away understanding what the game is and whether or not you should bother experiencing it. Probably not. And yeah, and you know, it's just I wouldn't expect a 4-hour bonus show all the time.
No.
Might be the only one, but however, it needed to be done. I'm glad I did it, and people are enjoying it. So, let that be some enticement to go sub on the Patreon if you haven't already.
Patreon.com/core show. Get over there.
Yeah.
You played WoW. Now we got to talk about
60 hours, by the way.
60. Okay. That's pretty long for the day it was released in. That's pretty a beefy game.
Yeah, it's a beefy game even to play it now. Mostly reading.
That's
mostly
true.
reading.
A lot of reading.
That's why you were like, "Oh, you read Play Nice already?" It's like, yeah, I've been well trained for reading in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, no kidding. You're a fast reader in general, though. We've talked about this before, but you rip through things.
My issue isn't the speed of reading; it's like staying sat down. Like I'll sit down to read, and then 10 minutes later, be like, "I'm gonna play some Diablo."
Yeah,
way more exciting than this boring ass page. You know, just
truth.
Anyway.
World of Warcraft. I played and don't have anything new to say except we raided again. We cleared the raid. We're working on heroic. We're having fun in there as a group and everything. But you wrote in here that you hit a ding desert. Please explain to the listeners what you mean.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean the primary driver for gameplay, at least for me, because I don't really like professions, is the gearing and like I think. I think Delves have been really successful at that because I can kind of play at my own pace. They have been challenging.
Yeah.
And when I do incrementally upgrade my gear, I feel I get incrementally a little better at whatever tier I'm facing.
Mm-hmm.
So then like I farm for more gear and, get better. The problem is like the rewards cap out at tier 8. There's no point in doing 9, 10, or 11 except for fun, which is fine.
Sure.
But I'm at the point to upgrade gear, you have to get those crests.
Right.
And the way they're named is really annoying. One's like weathered, there's runed, gilded, and I don't know, crusty crests or something. Like, there's 4 of them. It's really irritating. But anyways, once your item levels to a certain extent, you're done with the first tier, you're done with the second tier. So now I'm on to the third tier, and the only way I can get it is from 2 at a time in a delve. And it takes 15 to upgrade a piece. So that's 2 times 5, 6. I've run 8 delves to get 1 item upgrade.
Yeah.
Out of like 12 pieces. Or run mythics, which at least, for the people I've played with or whatever, it's been challenging to clear anything on a +4 or higher. They're kind of
right. Plus,
like I would need to be with a regular group, and we need to be doing proper mechanics. To the people who can pug and do it, that's great. But like, I'm just not rolling in there and getting my things. So it's like, okay, I've got no like. It's upgrading is getting kind of slow. Is what I'm trying to say. It's like I got to put a lot of hours into getting those upgrade pieces, and the game's getting boring. As a result, now I realize it's WoW, and that's how they do things, and. Obviously, at a certain point, you're gonna have to do mythic to get the gilded stuff.
Then
I get it, but
you'll get a patch, and they'll
increase
increase item level on the next patch, and then there'll be there'll be a bump there.
Yeah,
but then
and
you'll
there's
hit
that
it
too.
again.
Like there's that regret where like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna spend like 60 hours a week getting my eye level, and then a new patch comes out, and it just trivializes all that time you spent for low value gameplay for high time cost.
Yeah,
it's always a frustration with Warcraft. So I think I'm at the point where I'm just going to stop playing. I think, except to raid with the group, because I find that fun. And it's not really about the reward. I mean, we've raided 3 times now. I got nothing out of all 3.
I haven't either. Oh no, I did get one thing. I did. But
if I get something that's just crap, but mostly it's just intestines. It's like I get 1 gray item. Like you couldn't get less things even from junk. I get more junk from questing and stuff like. It's like 1 intestine. It's like, this is awesome. But it's still fun to do, but it's like gear is not the incentive. I get that all from Delves, and it's like, well, Delves is kind of its own game now. Like I don't even want to do mythics or group content because I actually think they nailed the delve loop.
Yeah.
And what I want is like, can you give me currency to get better gear so I can keep climbing the tier ladder? Because that's just fun.
Yeah, I'd like to be at tier 13, but when I think about that, I need to be rewarded properly for that, or else what is the point? There's no point in running those.
Yeah, and then I realized D4 is out, and that's basically what D4 is. So it's like, well, I got this other thing to do now, so goodbye.
One grind from one thing to another kind of grind, I guess.
It's just I guess that point where like the reward the thing you were working towards is so incremental. It's not satisfying. So that's fine. That's the way those things go. I think we'll keep rating, and I'm like item level 614. I don't know what you're at, but like
607. I'm behind you, but
but I mean we're both in like a decent range to do the content we're doing. So it's like I mean I always want to do more to help contribute, but at the same time I need to have a life. So
Yeah, I think you're doing fine. If you're at 614, I think you can rest on some of your laurels a little bit. But also like the game, this is always true. It's been true since the beginning. There's so much to do until there isn't, And it's not that there isn't something to do. It's just that the things you want to do, you've done, and the things that you could do aren't giving you the rewards you need. So it's a little, I don't know how they ever solved that. Maybe there's no way to. This is MMO problem 101.
Pleasing a lot of people, right? Because I think people are going to start complaining about delves. Like I got all my great gear from delves. What's the point of rating?
Right. There is going to be some of that. And I know you can, like you said, 4 and higher on Keystones for Mythics will get you, Mythic Plus will get you stuff. But to do that, like you said, it's going to take a bigger commitment and organization.
I don't need a lot of those, by the way. Like I need about 60 more of those, and I'll be done with tier 3. And then the only ones left I'll need are the Mythics. So +8 Mythic dungeons, or +9 Mythic dungeons and higher, or Mythic rating. So, and it's like, well, maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. Like it's just, I'm done. I'm at the end of the road, and anything I do has to be group content from here on out. I don't think I'm going to join a Mythic raid, a Mythic dungeon group.
Yeah.
It feels like, I have skills to learn. I'm going to need a regular group to practice to avoid frustrations, even within the guild.
Sure.
I did
have a 3-hour meeting with a client the other day, and I decided to get into the game and fly around and just do mining and herbs just for fun, see what I could do. Yeah. I made bank on that run.
Oh, hell yeah. It's been great.
Yeah. I went in, auctioned it all.
Over about, I think, 200, or not 200, like $500,000 in gold. Like,
oh, easily.
Like,
I didn't expect this. I thought it was going to be. I thought this would have slowed down.
The market's crashing. They're giving up the tinder boxes. They're now a way to get them. So they've gone from 5,000 to like 700 gold. Like those crashed huge.
Yeah,
and you can see the prices going down. Basically, for me, it was 3-star bismuth is really, really great. Yeah. And there's like Eridor's spear or something like that. The 3 stars go for 200.
Yeah.
And
200 a pop.
So I maxed out like the thing on those, and like if you have something else to do, casually staying mounted and doing the mining is like mining and herbing is like been so lucrative.
Yeah, it's kind of brain.
Like I have all my enchants. I have the settings. I have both my like all. I have 6 gemming settings. Like I bought everything. I pumped through all that money and I'm maxed out to the teeth. So
yeah.
And I paid for, I actually used the ordering system to get 2 pieces of gear to be crafted. That was another nice thing. There's actually relevant gear to be crafted.
Yeah.
For the first time that I've ever played Warcraft.
I'm like,
I need a side grade. So I need someone to make this sword for me. And it was actually, I farmed all my own resources. And God, it felt good. I was like, I've never done this in Warcraft where I need a relevant piece of gear from crafting. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's usually holdover stuff, or I haven't rated in this specs. Therefore, my loot has not been good for, say, a 2-handed weapon for a Ret Pally or something. I'll just buy some shitty homemade thing on the auction house. And now there's actually stuff that's as good, or in some cases better.
Usually what's happened is there's some decent gear, so you spend some time getting it, and then the next dungeon you do drops an upgrade, and you're just like, well, shit.
Yep.
I used it for 10 minutes.
Yep.
I'm glad I spent all that time on it.
Well, there you go. Ding Desert. Beau finds them. He finds the Ding Desert, knows where they are.
I mean, I think we all hit it. I think other people, what they do is that's why the warband thing is in the game.
Yeah,
because you're supposed to play another class, and if you want to keep playing WoW, you play another class. And,
yeah. Which I've done. I've hit 80 with 4 characters now.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm kind of doing what they want me to do, but I still keep coming back to the Pally and just kind of swapping to Ret and doing my dailies.
I still get a little tilted that I have MSQ to do and stuff. I'm just like, I don't want to do this again. Even though you can skip some of it, I still just like...
Yeah, some of it you can't. Like I had this problem happen when I hit 80 with the lock, the warlock, I decided it happened, and I went, all right, well, now I just go to town and do shit. So I flew back to town, ignored where I was in the story because I'd done it already twice. So I was just like, well, let's just go over there. So I fly over there, and there are question marks waiting for me to fulfill. They're all over the place, including Bran. He's behind his little desk there with something to give me, but he isn't there. Visually, he's not there, but it says he's there, and it says I have a quest to turn in. But I'm like, why can't I do this? And I thought it was a bug. It still sort of is. But I would go to log out. Reloading didn't make any difference, like interface reload or any of that. So I go to log out, and for a brief second, the world flashed, and all the other players, Bran, the quest givers, everybody was suddenly there for just a second, and then they were gone.
Issue, right?
Yeah. So then I would log back in, same problem. I did this 3 or 4 times. It turns out what it was, there is a story hook you have to do before the town opens up, which is you have to go through those rings and fly through them on the Rook, which is a cool moment in the story your first time through. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if you don't do that, the town looks empty. Nobody's there.
You don't need to
happening.
do the tutorial a second time on how to fly the ring on the mounts.
Exactly.
I remember that quest.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so I did that.
Introducing you to flying. Yeah.
So I did that. I got over there and I talked to the dude where I turned that in, and suddenly everything went pop, 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 pop. Dinosaurs are doing the auction house. Freaking 20 players over here doing this. Guy's dueling. This guy dancing on a mailbox. Like, it was like, oh, okay, shit. That was weird. But anyway, yeah, wow.
Yeah, having to do that stuff is like a second time. It's a bit of a chore. It's not as fun as the first time necessarily.
BG3 multiplayer still going on for you and your friends.
Yeah, just a little mention there. We're continuing on. We rescued Volo from getting blown up, and and Crofton, we got to rob the bank finally. So
I'll bet he was stoked about that.
he had the happiest day of his life, and Mike was like, "Oh, let's move on." Like, I'm like, "Listen, we brought the kid to the candy store. Let him enjoy his candy, guys. Like, it's his day today, so we just let him have his fun." And he stole everything he could. He stole so much stuff. He ran out of lockpicks and was like, "Where's my lockpicks? I need lockpicks."
If the zombie,
I said, "Don't worry, we'll go out and buy you some more lockpicks and come back, and we can steal some more."
Sure.
Okay.
If the zombie apocalypse comes, do you even trust having him in your survivor group? Do you know what I mean?
Better to have him in your group stealing for you than against your group stealing from you.
That's a good point, John. I like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him if he was on the other team, but if he's on our team, he's trustworthy.
Okay.
Oh, and I forgot to mention. Sorry, this is not Baldur's Gate 3, but I did do it with Mike and Crofton. We went to a dark restaurant.
Eating in the dark, or eating.
Yeah,
in the,
that was last week. Yeah, because this week's
last
So
Friday.
you were
Yesterday was
about
my-
to go do it last episode.
Last Friday.
Yeah, yesterday was my birthday. So
Happy birthday! Woo!
Yeah, hooray! And thank you to Shatterproof and others. I think it was just Shatterproof, but I got some games. The deluge of games I begged for came in.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Well done.
I got to sneeze.
Uh-oh, it's coming. I can feel it. Here we go.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
Went back in.
He scared the sneeze back into Beau.
Yeah, you ruined it. Oh, now look how red my face is.
Oh.
Oh,
That was awful. Oh my god!
But
But
Whoops, sorry. Go ahead.
then we're under attack. So never forget.
Yeah, never forget. Never surrender.
So we went to a dark restaurant and on Friday, and people asked me about what that was like and stuff, and I just want to say it is like eating in the dark. It really is not that special at all.
The weirdest part of it, though, is that you were in a place where everybody was talking a ton, and we didn't have that. At
Yeah,
mine.
so that might have ruined it. I expected it to be more sensual. Maybe I'm having deja vu. Did I talk about eating being sensual? with you guys? No.
How? Yeah, why is
No,
this?
it was-
Mentioned it, yeah. You mentioned it briefly, but I don't think you had a conversation about it.
Somewhere you
Well, I-
talked about. Oh, maybe it was in our Discord, just in text.
You
or
said sensual.
Oh.
the way
Yeah,
you
I've
just
said the
did.
word
I
You
know
did
you
sensual.
did that.
something. You
But
did
I
it
don't remember
during
what the
raid.
context
You did
was.
it during raid. That's what it was. Everybody asked how it was in
Oh,
raid
we talked about it during raid. Okay.
because you got back after you ate and then
now
joined raid
Tanner's
late.
mad at me because I was talking about dinner during giving raid instructions. Now nobody's allowed to talk anymore.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
we got a big lecture about that.
Clamping
Sure.
down.
I used
baby.
to- hey, Ben and I got yelled at for talking anime during trash pulls, and man, You want to talk about people being upset over nothing? Sorry, we talked over your trash fight.
Well, anyway, I want to behave. Let's, Tanner, please keep me in your good books. I don't condone anything John just said. Thank you.
Well, you were talking over the strategy. Like, there's difference between talking over the trash pull and talking over the strategy session.
So I think it's like I just think talking is like a wildfire because like I got a bit of streamer privilege or whatever, right? So it's just like I come in, I'm like, let me talk, and then everyone else talks. It's like how Frank Pierce was dating employees. He probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't talk and raid.
Right.
That's
I
what I'm getting
hid
at
from
this.
trash, and then I had to stop that because other people started hiding from trash.
Right.
Yeah, they learned from your
exactly.
example and played the game in a funner way, and now everyone's in trouble. I get
Like
it.
it would be worse for you to do it now because you're on core and people would take that as like, oh, it's funny. I want to do like what John does, and then everyone's hiding from trash, and you've made a mess. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it turns out I'm the only one fighting trash, and then I'm just like, fuck you guys, and quit because I'm the only one doing it.
Time for a meeting. No, but I just wanted to say what. Okay, so anyways, coming back to what I was talking about. There was a lot of talking. It was so loud. It was hard to enjoy anything. I don't know if other restaurants, Scott, you said you've done this and loved it.
I did.
Was
yeah.
the talking really loud? Like your ears wanted to fly off? Like just
No,
like
I mean
melt
I think
from-
you do have a little more sensitivity auditorily because you are blinded by the experience, and so I think your ears do kick in more. But it was just really our table with the 6 people we had in there. My wife was here, but it was across the way. I can't remember. Tom Merritt was maybe there. Whoever was there. And my sister was there. Anyway, so there was conversation around the table, but it was like kind of subdued. It's like, so did you enjoy that last thing? It was like that kind of level. There wasn't like a room full of people making sound like it sounds like yours was a lot of people.
No, it sounded like a cafeteria can be so loud sometimes. You're like, I need to get out of this cafeteria. Like it was like that. So I think they might have poorly designed their eatery in some way.
Have you considered the possibility that you are the daredevil?
Oh shit.
No, it was a lot of talking. I wasn't exceptionally sensitive to sound, I don't think.
So you didn't start to see
Everyone
shapes
kind of
of people based on what they were saying, like sonar. You weren't getting all like super
Jennifer
sensitive.
Garner didn't show up,
Have-
and
Okay.
you kissed her in the rain or anything.
I have no superpowers. The one thing I was super afraid of though, because they make you by the way, bad place post-COVID, like dark restaurant, because they make you like touch, like hold the shoulder of the person in front of you to walk.
They
you
do. Yeah.
Putting your hands all over people. I was just really worried I was going to reach out, put my hand on like a shoulder, but find a boob instead and just get in trouble. Like that was also a concern. I was just, the waiter was like, reach out to me. And I'm like, just trepidatious, right? Like, I hope it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to look any of my friends' spouses in the eyes and say it was an accident or something. I just don't want to enter into that situation. And I don't know where my hand is going, and I don't know where anyone is.
Yeah. You didn't touch anyone's Meatus while you were there.
No, I'm pretty sure it was shoulder.
Okay.
Unless it was like a rock hard boob, it probably just it's probably just shoulders.
All right. Well done. Rock hard boob.
I mean, but it was just too loud, and I didn't enjoy it. I'd be up for trying it again if you had a recommendation, but I need to like be sure it was going to be like a quiet experience where I could focus on the tasting of food.
Yeah, the one in Vegas was really quiet, and it chilled me out. It was like having a hood on a hawk almost, because I was worried I was going to have a panic attack in there. I was going to freak out because I kind of trend toward those when things are out of my control. And instead, it was just like this, one of the most calm, chill things I've ever done. And I think it's just that deprivation of vision that did it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you a little sleepy too. Not super sleepy, but I was definitely like, well, I guess I don't need to have my eyes open. So I close my eyes and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of person, Scott, when you're out, do you wish like people just didn't see you? Like, do you kind of
Sometimes.
wish you could move invisibly?
Sometimes, yeah. Depends on where we are, but if it's busy anywhere, yeah. Like I don't want.
Because I'm that way, and like when you describe like I wouldn't like it if it was super loud, but eating in the dark would be comfortable to me because I'm a person that doesn't like to be observed. This is the guy talking on.
Yeah, I don't like being watched either. I know, isn't that weird? It seems like we do things that are opposite of our personalities, but it's true. Like when it comes to my real life, I don't want attention. I hate it. And I don't have
Yeah.
FOMO, which pisses some people off, but I don't have it. So there's never
FOMO?
a thing where, fear of missing out. So if somebody says,
Mhm.
oh, we're doing this thing, and I'm like, okay, have fun. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
can
care.
see
Good
that.
for you.
Yeah, really don't care. Have fun, though. I want them to have fun. I'm not like, I'm not saying they're wrong to have FOMO, but I have whatever the opposite is, where I'm just fine. I don't need your party or whatever. All right, let's get to some emails, guys.
That's a good question.
We have an email and then we have a phone call. This email is from Chris Barnes. He used the website form, which sends an email, frogpants.com/core. You can find it there or talk to the core at gmail.com. Chris says this is about Warhammer 40K recommendations. Just listening to the episode where John went down the 40K rabbit hole. Do you like
40K Weedus?
Weedus, the 40? Ooh, you went down.
Meatus. Sorry. No,
Meatus,
Weedus
yeah,
is
not
something
Weedus.
different.
You went down
Weedus,
on.
what's Weedus?
Weedus is the band
Hold
that
on,
does.
now we gotta look up something
You
different.
said
What's
that
a
so
Weed-
sure. I thought you knew
What's
what
a
it was.
Hold
We-
on, what's a Weedus?
Weedus is the band that does the I got 2 tickets to
Oh!
Iron Maiden. That's the,
I love Weedus. I love that song.
I love that
I'm
song.
just
That
a
song,
teenage dirtbag baby.
like you.
Jamie should quote that.
Ooh,
I
that
love
song,
Weenus.
that song speaks to me on a very visceral level.
That song is so good.
Yeah, I love it. They're
That's
one
all-
hit
that's all I'm
wonder.
gonna say. Go listen to Teenage Dirtbag by Weedus. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a one hit wonder for sure. That band, but what a one hit it is. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, John went down the 40K Weedus hole. Sorry, rabbit hole.
Yep.
Since that is my favorite sci-fi universe,
Oh, no, it's a rapid Meatus. That's what it is.
a Weedus is? Well, it's a band.
A rabbit Meatus.
Oh, a wabbit.
Meatus.
No, that'd be
A rabbit hole is a rabbit Meatus, assuming the hole's in a living thing.
No, that would be a
This is
Reedus.
derailed so gloriously for something that's not even in the show.
Another
Oh,
reason to get.
I think it's part pre-show, right? You got to check out the pre-show.
No, it was in between the break.
It was between the break. It's recorded nowhere except for the video archive that patrons get, so I recommend it. Anyway, I have a couple of books and a game to recommend. Rogue Trader is a turn-based RPG. It doesn't do anything special, just a solid game in the 40K universe. I agree. I have that game. I reviewed it here.
I
It's
got
great.
good news for you, Chris. Not only do you share the name of my first childhood best friend, I don't know if you're him or not, but I bought Rogue Trader while it was on sale a couple days ago, so I'm gonna give that a try at some point.
It's a good game. It is helpful to be further away from Baldur's Gate 3 when you play it, because it's like all other CRPGs before Baldur's Gate 3 in that it's got great production value kind of across the board, but sometimes it's just reading. And that used to be okay for us.
Yeah.
But then Baldur's Gate came by and said, "Hey, what if everyone said everything?"
Not just Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age, and Mass Effect also.
Yeah, no, that's
There's no
true.
reading
That's
in that.
true.
No,
That's
they don't make you read.
I don't think of those as CRPGs though. I think of those as like
Sure, but let's just say bordering in the role play space, not just Baldur's
fair
Gate.
point. Fair point.
And Cyberpunk,
That's right.
you know.
It says okay, so it says you make your character, you get your own huge ass void ship, and over the course of the game, you can be the good guy or
There's a
turn
huge
chaos.
Jackman.
Huge Jackman. The Gaunt's Ghost series is about. I was just talking about the book series. Is a story about a regiment of the Imperial Guard, the regular humans that fight the galactic war against chaos, orcs, Eldar, and everything else. Enforcer is a series about Adeptus Arbitus officers and her dealing with chaos cults and the like. Think police, but Judge Dredd style of enforcement. Excuse me. Black Library is GW's publishing company. Let's say GameWorks, I guess that is. Sorry, there is much more than just the Horus Heresy. So just search orcs. Blessed be the Omni Messiah that are the three hosts of this show. See, he knows there's three hosts.
Yeah, he knows.
Boy,
I do want to search orcs. I want more stuff to do with the orcs. I love them.
I do too.
Everything I've learned about 40K orcs has been a joy.
Yeah,
Like
they're
that
amazing.
is-
They're amazing.
they are a gift that continues to give the more I learn. I only had a surface knowledge and I've only grown in appreciation.
Yeah, nothing wrong with orcs in that universe.
It's a fresh take,
He mentioned this.
especially in space.
This book called The Gaunt's Ghosts sounds interesting, but if it's just regular humans fighting in the war, That sounds a little bit like that game John doesn't like.
Dark Tide?
Darktide.
I don't. Okay, hold on. Let me clarify something.
John, you are the resident game hater. You hate.
I
games
don't.
because of
I
Scott.
don't hate the idea of being a regular human in the Warhammer 40k universe, but when you say Warhammer 40k,
Yeah.
the first thing that came to my head was not hitting zombies in the head with a shovel. That's not the fantasy I had, and it was a bad first taste. And my understanding is that game has gotten a lot better. I had fun with that game, but like I want to fight something more interesting than zombies, and I don't ever want to use a shovel as my primary weapon.
We know some people at Fat Shark listen to the show, so maybe like do we want them to patch out shovels? Is that...
I would love for them to patch out shovels.
I'm sort of in agreement. I think this shovel thing is probably like as you level up, they're gone. But I think as a first impression, you got to hook the players. Maybe just don't hand them a shovel. I'm in agreement.
And also they give
Get
it
rid
to
of
the
the shovel.
class. They give it to the class that wants to use the gun, because I'm pretty sure that's like the first default weapon for whatever the class that is the gunslinger or whatever. Because like you get in, you're like, I want to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Like that's what I want to do. That's why I'm in the future. If I wanted to swing a melee weapon, I would play the rat game. But you get in there and you're like, oh, it's limited ammo. I guess I got to use this melee weapon against these hordes. And then you pull out a shovel and you're just so disappointed.
Yeah, so I can explain a bit like why you would need the melee weapon. It's the best counter to the dinky hordes because that's
you
use your weapon on every enemy. Like you're ranged, at least as when I play sharpshooter, I use my ranged weapon on every enemy except for the dinky hordes. That it allows you to save your ammo, but you get way cooler shit like the thunder hammer and chain swords and power swords.
Like if I had a chainsword to start, I'd be like,
also
yeah,
you might
look
enjoy
at me.
you might enjoy Psyker because like their melee weapon is often a staff that just gives them a magic spell. So you just get another spell, including more spells they
I want to
added.
do magic though.
Well, remember it's Warhammer 40k, so the magic is not like fireball. It's like you can pop people's melons. You can shoot
it is true. I was always jealous of Kyle. I think right. That's who played with us. Who was always popping melons. I was always jealous of Kyle because he'd be like, "Watch this guy's head." And I was like, "That is cool."
Psyker's awesome, and they like now with the new talent tree, there's an upgrade where you can pop several heads, and you can, if you don't like popping heads, you can swap it out for Palpatine electricity now.
I like both those things.
Yeah, it's the game. I'm sorry, I know like we don't like the reject fantasy and all that stuff, but like the actual gameplay, like just the abstractly speaking, the gameplay is like so smooth and buttery.
It plays great.
So good.
It does.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the enemy type, and I wasn't a huge fan of the shovel. That's it.
I get it.
Well, maybe there's another update coming called Locked and Loaded.
Sounds gun focused to me. That
it's
sounds like
out now, so I haven't checked it out yet. But yes, that sounds gun focused. But at some point, there should be an X pack for this game, and maybe that might be a good time to get on board.
All right. Well, good luck over there, Fat Shark. Right?
Yeah, let us know. Like, tell us. Announce it here on our show. What news coming?
Yeah, we'll be. Core is your point. We're your point
expansion.
man. Yeah.
We know you're making one. Come on. I'm glad. If this were Blizzard, they would have abandoned the game, just like they abandoned Diablo 3 after Reaper of Souls, the most successful Diablo ever made.
That's a good point.
So you read the book and it didn't dry up any of that salt.
It kind of brought back
it added
memories.
salt to it.
So I used to Ryan Murphy and I used to do a Gamers In every year when I couldn't go to BlizzCon, like just covering BlizzCon, and every year be like, this is the year that the Reaper of Souls expansion's coming out, because they didn't tell the public they stopped making Diablo 3. So there I am getting, blue balls for 4 years waiting for my favorite game franchise to drop the literal thing that comes after the cliffhanger, and nobody says shit.
Yeah.
I know it's looks bad for corporate business when we say we're not doing a thing, but have some respect for people. I'm really pissed they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also a real famous Metzen quote about where he thought the story was going to go next, and he said it, which certainly built the expectation that you were like, well, there's going to be more. Metzen literally said what the story beat was going to be, because he was talking about Leah.
Yeah.
And what was the fate of her soul post Diablo's defeat. And I was like, I want to know.
Yeah, tell us.
Never know, because then
And we'll never
Diablo
know.
4 came out and was ashamed of Diablo 3 and refuses to address anything that happened in that game.
Well,
even though now
actually-
it's cosplaying as it.
Actually, the scoundrel is in Diablo 4. There was one little connective tissue. So they could answer some of the questions. Glorious has to still be around, right? Well, evil lurks while we stand about. The Templar.
Yeah.
Maybe he's still alive. Like Nazebo should still be alive. Maybe
John Dar.
Those guys could show up and
Dar.
be like, "Yeah, we beat Malthael, and we thought we were going to go on an adventure, but instead we got drunk, and Sonya broke her neck, and when she died, the rest of us got really depressed and just."
Why,
and stopped
Sonya?
fighting.
The Kodic demon said we couldn't go out anymore.
You were like, I think that we all got depressed and demoralized and just stopped fighting, and that was enough to keep the things away. And now we're in Diablo 4, and Lilith is back. Sorry about that, bud.
Yeah, sure. I'm
Like Terzine's still around. He's got to be somewhere. He's going
Right.
to see the spirit ball and be like, "You've copied the gods of Yitar. I'm sending you a lawsuit very soon."
a lawsuit.
that
in the
accent
game.
went places
Yeah.
regionally.
You got
Feel the tides break. That's how he said it.
you have
Right?
you have frequent flyer miles on your.
Listen, we need
voice.
to keep playing D&D so I can keep my accents mint.
Yeah.
They were never mint.
No, my favorite was the Scottish dwarf that kept turning Italian. That's my favorite character you ever played. It was so good.
Hello, adventurers.
It's a me.
It's me, a dwarf. What can I get you?
It's funny because it didn't start out that way, but he sure ended that way. He sounded very Italian.
Or well,
by the way.
everything devolves either into Italian or Russian
Mhm.
as well. Like I'll start, doing Australian, but it's just Russian.
I go Irish and then turn pirate every time. So it'll be like, you took me potato before I got home, yar. Pretty soon.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that.
Yeah.
All right, here's a phone call. This is Beau, this guy took your advice. You said, hey, why aren't people doing normal
I'm
things?
sorry.
Like, why aren't people
I don't
doing
think you
normal
know what
things while they're out in the world when they send us messages? Well, this guy did, so check it out.
Hey, this is for Core. Beau, this is for you. I'm in the car getting Wendy's for my family. Since you want us to be doing stuff when we call. There you go. Anyway, listening to, I think it was last week's show. Am I the only one who didn't like the wireless GameCube controller? I just thought it was huge and unnecessary. I think the GameCube controller has the best layout ever. It's fantastic, and they ruined it. Anyway, love you guys. Bye.
All right. I think we all said we liked the Wavebird, but
Yeah, that's a hot take. I understand what he means though. It was bigger. Like I described the first time I held a GameCube controller, and I'll tell you, I think maybe his true hot take was saying that he liked the GameCube controller, because I do think that there's a lot of odd hate for that. First time I ever held it, I was like, I love this controller. It feels like the controller's hugging my hand.
yeah.
That's what I said when I held it. I thought it was a very comfortable controller, even if it lacked some of what we consider modern essentials in terms of like dual analog sticks, true dual analog sticks and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did sacrifice that for the wireless, but like that was at a time for me where like the novelty of a wireless controller that actually worked was like crazy, and for it to be a first party, because like wireless controllers existed, but it was always, here's the Mad Cats, and you'd have your one stupid friend that brought it over and was like, no, it's a wireless controller, and then he'd be like, hold on, I gotta connect it. Hold on, I gotta connect. Oh, my controller's not working, and then he'd lose in Smash Brothers, and he'd blame it on the controller. It's just not working. There's something wrong with it. And you're like, don't bring your stupid controller over to the party anymore.
It's such a Mr. Mackey voice you're doing. It's like, okay, gotta hook it up, okay.
Okay, my controller's not working, okay. I would have made that landing if I didn't fall off the edge because my controller, okay. It's just like that person.
good.
And so a Nintendo quality wireless controller was like, it wasn't novelty. Like it was really exciting, but
Yeah.
he's not wrong. It was a bulkier, heavier controller. But
Yeah.
I loved the Wavebird.
Yeah,
I thought
it was
great.
important for the where all that was headed. Like, you have to give it credit for that. Like, Nintendo does this. The D-pad, wireless controllers, motion controls, like them or not. And like they innovate and they do cool
Italian
stuff.
plumbers.
Where would we be without them? Mario, depending on where you live. All right, well, that's the call. Hey, if you want to call in and be like that person, 801-471-0462. You can call from anywhere and leave us a voicemail. You can also leave text there as well. Quick note, if you're in our Discord, and if you're not even, I'll tell you where to go to get there. But if you are in our Discord, there's a contest running until tomorrow mid-morning, I believe is when it ends. We're giving away a copy of Guardians of the Galaxy on Steam. And it is that great game that not enough people played. Go to our giveaways Discord at frogpants.com/Discord and sign up. There's still time. You just click the little green box saying you're interested, and it will pick at random tomorrow automatically, and you might be the winner of said game. So go check that out. And I don't remember who gave me that. Someone awesome. Here, let me just double check real quick so I can say their name, and their name is... not here. So whoever that was, you're awesome. I don't know why I didn't write it down. I'll try to find it tomorrow so I can give you proper credit. Anyway, that's that for that. Hey, guess what else? We got patrons to mention. Good list this week. Bunch of new people. Last week we had like one person, two people last week, something like that. This week, damn. Mad Packer, Greg, Dark Shaggy 6, Will Matheson, John Hailstone, James Cross or Cross, I'm not sure which, it's with a K and only one S. And Pillowitch.
Or maybe P-O-Each.
Oh, Pillowitch?
I like to think about a pillow witch.
Pillow itch. Like that?
So in French, when there's an I and two L's, you don't say the L, you go like Canouille, oui,
Ooh,
oui.
All right. Could be a French Canadian. Could be a regular French person. We don't know. But we love having you guys here. You get Beau's 4-hour treatise on all things Planescape. So check that out.
A treatise? I feel like it should be illegal for any word to end with US.
Treatise, Meatus, and Weetus.
Oh, maybe you meant treatise. Okay.
Isn't it treatise? I thought it was treatise.
Treatise? There's a treatise nutrition coaching on Instagram.
Because treaties means like, it could mean like, oh, I signed a treaty with this country or whatever. The Canadians and
treatise?
Yeah, but
treatise.
A treatise is a written work dealing formally or systematically with a subject. A treatise, not treatise.
Well, are you sure? Hold on. Treatise.
No. Treatise.
Okay, I'm going to play. We're going to hear it. Here we go. Let's see what the internet says.
Treaties.
Damn it.
Look at Beau.
But it's
Treaty.
also, I know what
Reached
you mean.
out his
It's like,
skeletal hand and smacked you down.
I know what you mean in that a treaty could also be like, multiple peace treaties, right? Like
Yeah.
in civilization or something
Like
like
it's
that.
spelled vastly different, yet apparently pronounced exactly.
Okay, well, Merriam-Webster says it different. Hold on.
Treatise.
They say treatise.
That's what I said.
That's what I say too. So it feels like maybe we got one of these deals where it could be either way.
Treatise?
Treatise.
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 I've never heard of treatise in my life.
Yeah, treatise. That's how I've always heard it.
Yes.
A systematic exposition or argument in writing, including, like you said.
Treatise?
Yeah, treatise.
Is
Treatise.
that a Brit?
TR.
I feel like it would be a British thing, and that would be more me being in the Commonwealth than you guys. But you guys are making it all English sounding by going treatise. Like that's
Okay.
I'd expect like someone from Yorkshire to tell me it. Say it that way.
Well, how about this
No.
one? This might be
not
a different.
not my Arizona and Utah pals.
Well, this one says Canadian pronunciation, so let's play it.
Meatus.
That's what
false.
happens when you get killed by somebody in Lord of the Rings.
I was trying to find Meatus, and is Meatus? Is that correct?
That's
Maybe
troll.
that's.
The treatise.
Meatus.
Where is that from?
Meatus.
This is from Merriam-Webster. It's reliable, but here's
We
the
need to
thing.
start buying dictionaries so they can hire actually skilled people.
I
to
got
work for
bad
them.
news, Paul. We
Bad.
didn't make it out of the haunted woods. What happened? Treatus.
Tree ate us. A
Tree
tree.
ate us.
A tree ate you. So hold on a
That's
second.
wrong.
Here's the thing. That's Meatus, but I think it's pronounced
Meatus.
Meatus. So when we say,
Meatus?
yeah, it's never Meatus. It was never Meatus. It was.
So I got a
Meatus.
giant Q-tip shoved in my meatus. Is
Yeah.
how I would correct this?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, someone
No.
swabbed your meatus. According to
Yeah.
this.
It happened during the
Meatuses.
break for listeners because they'll want to know. I had an STD test and the doctor shoved a Q-tip in my urethra to swab it.
Yeah. and that's the
or
Meatus.
my Meatus. You know, my
Meatus.
penis
Meatus.
Meatus.
Like, we can make this
Meatuses.
word over, guys. If we all agree to just say it's Meatus, it becomes Meatus, okay? Like, language is evolving, and we don't have to say Meatus.
I'm
That's
calling a
stupid.
foul. I'm calling a
No
foul.
wonder
on,
nobody knows that's what it's called. Nobody wants to say Meatus.
I'm calling a foul on the entire word, no matter how it's pronounced.
Has anybody
Meatus
seen
or
Meatus? Where's me? I've lost Meatus. Anyway,
Meatus.
that's fantastic. Well done. Where the hell are we? Oh, patreon.com/core
Wait,
show.
whoa.
Hold on, I haven't finished the Patreon shit yet. So you get no commercials, Beau's 4-hour treatise, or whatever you want to call it. You
Treatus.
get your treatise. You get your monthly benefits like video game art in the mail and all that other stuff. So anyway, go sign up today. That's patreon.com/core show. Okay, Beau, go ahead with what you're gonna say.
No, never mind.
No, give it to me.
Well, it was just. I can't remember it. I'm just so mad about this whole family of words. The rage is just
It
taking over.
irritated you so bad. You're like, I can't even remember. I'm blinded.
Well,
Scott
I
hadn't
feel like-
already named this show. It absolutely should have been called Treatus, Meatus, and Weetus.
Yeah, exactly.
I might change it. It's real good.
Meatus.
I mean, yeah, Meatus. I the thing that's bugging me most right now is the Canadian pronunciation of Triates. Like, I have so many questions. Someone
Yeah.
needs to get fired over that. It's
Treatise.
such an offense.
It's treatise. I'm telling you.
I mean, you guys legitimately say treatise?
We say
or
treatise.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard it many times.
I say treaties for treaties. I say treatise for treatise.
Yeah.
When you say treaties, you meaning like a peace treaty?
Yeah, like a
Yeah,
peace treaty.
like there's a
So
peace
what
treaty.
is a peace treaty? What is the treaty?
A treaty is what they say in District 9 when he wants to give candy to a little alien boy.
Right.
Oh,
but
that's
it's-
sweetie.
Oh,
It might
You
be,
want a sweetie?
It might be a formal document that people sign, right? Like, it's not that different from a treaty.
Yeah, it's like the thing that in the first Dragon Age you were going around and being like, "Hey, y'all signed a treaty."
yeah. But if Beau wanted to really convince the world that Phantom
I've heard a
Menace is
50-page essay on
Phantom Menace,
on
that would be a treatise.
Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
That'd be a
That you
treatise.
say a treatise.
Treatise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so
But
does-
I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm not so confident in it that I'm like, that's 100% it, because it's a word that I've only ever read and never said. That's how I've read
I
it.
think we need some YouTube comments about this, listeners. So let's go. If you watch it on YouTube, send
It
your
would
emails.
certainly
and
be a
text in.
change of pace than the
I-
usual YouTube comments. So absolutely, get in the
I find
comments.
I
and
find
tell
it
us.
mind blowing because I mean, nobody ever says, because we're in 2024 and people go LOL emoji. No one says you actually use it unironically the word treatise or treatise.
Yeah.
That I had no idea you were in a different world of pronunciation than me.
Well, that's what I mean.
and
Nobody
it's
says it.
blowing
it's a
my
word
mind
we've
right now.
Only it's a word we've only ever read.
I think it's blowing my mind just a little more because the rest of the words were very offensive, like you know,
Meatus.
like Meatus and Weetus and you know, like all together. I'm just like really aggravated. You know what I mean?
Well, don't forget, was it this show we learned that this is
Penis.
penis, but then multiple penises is called
Peenies.
peenies.
I had
Peenies.
peenies at the Italian
Peenies.
restaurant with
Yeah.
Alfredo.
Yeah, you want some Alfredo peenies?
Peenies.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I try so hard not to find that as funny as I do,
I love
but
it.
it just gets me every single time.
I love it. Plural penises is my favorite word.
I know it's an AI voice, but he sounds thrilled to educate me.
Peenies.
Just listen to him.
Peenies.
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 Penis. Peenies. Peenies. Peenies.
Peenies.
Peenies.
Someone should make a band called Penis Peenies.
Pubis.
Oh, pubis.
Pubies.
What? Is it pubes?
He said, all right, hold on. Sorry, one more to add to the pile if it doesn't make sense. Okay, so he says
Pubis.
pubis, and then
Singular.
plural for pubis
Pubies.
is pubes. not
No, it's pubes, isn't it? Like, what the hell's wrong with these
pubes.
Pubes.
places? Pubes.
It's Nintendo's new game coming out, new IP. Watch for pubes coming to you soon. All right, let's throw it to Grandma and get this over with.
Oh,
Grandma,
shit.
why don't you tell us what the hell we played this
Grandma,
week so people know what the hell's going on?
Pubies.
Trying.
All right.
I gotta stop laughing first.
He likes PDs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to the end of the show somehow, and here's the games they played: Diablo 4, The Vessel of Hatred, That's the new expansion. The Victory Heat Rally, that's the car game. Pinball Spire, World of Warcraft, Crime Scene Cleaner, Cat's Quest 3, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Mega Man X 1 through 4, UFO 50, specifically Attractix, Demolition, Kick Club, and Avianos, Planescape Torment, and Baldur's Gate 3.
Wow. A professional reading of the text of your treaties. Well done, everybody. Thank you for all being here. To everyone at home listening, we hope you had a great time this week. And if you want to be here live, we do it on Thursdays at 5 p.m., at least until the time switch happens in November. So keep coming back for more. That'll do it for us. For me, for Beau, for John. We'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Okay, let's do this thing!
All right, Goku.
Yeah.
You
he's
go.
excited.